starting cultivation in the world of Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 Home. Not only those children of school age, Bai Sui also started from the beginning, trying to change their mother tongue into Chinese. After all, a person's thinking mode is inseparable from their mother tongue. Only when their mother tongue becomes Chinese, coupled with Chinese-style education since childhood, Bai Sui believes that they will develop Chinese-style thinking and be able to truly understand the Tao that the sages want to express. Not only the children, but also the adults, Bai Sui did not give up. Although it was no longer possible to change their thinking mode, it did not prevent Bai Sui from instilling some ideas in them. Moreover, the thinking mode of the people in the ninja world already has an extreme worship of the strong, so Bai Sui used his own strength to smoothly make those people obey his arrangements. Of course, the Uzumaki clan did not let it go, and they really got a lot of benefits from Bai Sui. Because Bai Sui took out military books such as Liu Tao and Sanlu, in order to better appreciate what was said in the book, they also took the initiative to study Chinese. However, what really made them obsessed with learning Chinese was that after Bai Sui took out the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the entire Uzumaki clan became a trend of learning for a while. In order to keep this precious knowledge, Uzumaki Ashina and other high-level officials strictly prohibited any clan member from carrying relevant content out of the clan. Everyone had to be checked before leaving to prevent any smuggling. Originally, Uzumaki Ashina and others just thought that there was a super fighter like Kashiwasu in the clan, but when this knowledge appeared, they completely abandoned their original idea. If they had originally planned to let Kashiwasu go out to fight, now it is completely extinguished. They just hoped that Kashiwasu will never leave the clan. Because they found that Kashiwasu is simply a living library. As long as they have questions, they can basically find books or knowledge related to it in Kashiwasu. Remember that the simple generators and steam engines made by Kashiwasu before were also used in the Uzumaki clan. These machines are driven by chakra as the power, and the Uzumaki clan is famous for chakra and sealing techniques. The two are simply a match made in heaven. It's not that Bai Sui didn't gain anything. The Uzumaki clan was famous for its sealing technique. The clan recorded various kinds of curse seals and the creation ideas of various curse seals. These provided Bai Sui with a lot of valuable resources for studying the dragon talisman. Bai Sui changed the entire Uzumaki clan little by little. After the Uzumaki clan obtained the corresponding knowledge, they converted it into power. Through this power, they accepted tasks from the daimyos and nobles to obtain resources, and used these resources to train the new generation and experiment with new conjectures. So one day, Uzumaki Ashina, the clan leader, was surprised to find that even if he no longer accepted tasks, he could support the consumption of the entire ninja clan with a harvest from all the clan lands. The second elder who handed over the corresponding information was happily watching the reaction of his clan leader, because he was also so surprised when he received this information. We have to thank Elder Bai Sui for all this. It is through the Shenin book and Kimin Yaoshu he gave us that the harvest from our land has increased by nearly 50%. We have also successfully refined sea salt, and used this salt to open up trade routes with many different families. Not only can we rely on the resources in our hands to feed ourselves, we also have a large surplus that can be used to exchange for the various materials we need. The second elder was very moved by the changes brought about by Bai Sui, but the Ashina clan leader next to him shook his head and handed him a stack of information. That's just the beginning. You are mainly concerned about the food part. Take a look at this information. It contains the research and development and experiments of various machines such as steam engines, generators, jacquard machines, etc. Most of the equipment we sorted out from those books have been successfully tested. The next step is mass production and promotion. If we can really realize all of these, we will be one step closer to the realization of our early dreams. Unexpectedly, the second elder waved his hands again and again. No, haven't you read what the fourth elder wrote in the book? We should build high walls, store up food, and slowly become king? Now we should still accumulate more. When I chatted with him before, he told me what he saw and heard when he traveled in the ninja world before. I combined some records in the clan with my own experience and found that what he said was indeed correct. The reason why there was no country established by ninjas before was because of the suppression of all other daimyos. Once we announced the establishment of a country, they would definitely cut off trade with us and issue various tasks against us. Although we are already self-sufficient in food, that is only under the condition of low-intensity war. Once we are fully hostile to other countries, we will inevitably face a shortage of manpower. We can still maintain it in the short term, but problems will inevitably arise over time. We must continue to accumulate strength in secret and stockpile a large amount of reserve materials so that we have enough time to distinguish which people in those countries can be divided and won over. As long as we persist long enough, I think we will be able to resolve that situation. Looking at the second elder who was talking with saliva flying in front of him, Uzumaki Ashina was very pleased, because in the past, the second elder in front of him was the largest founding member of the clan, and he had always clamored to establish a country belonging to ninjas. Perhaps sensing the playful gaze of the clan leader, the second elder, Hoshirama, stopped his generous speech and coughed awkwardly a few times as if he had thought of something. Ahem, that's because I haven't met the fourth elder before, and my thoughts are still immature. Now I have deeply realized that the extraordinary world of ninja is far from what we usually see. There are huge crises hidden in it, and we should be more cautious in our actions. But speaking of it, I also want to travel around the ninja world like the fourth elder. After all, some things cannot be appreciated just by listening to his description. It would be great if I could see them with my own eyes. The clan leader did not comment on the other party's idea. After all, he also wanted to travel around, especially after listening to the fourth elder's many strange stories about the ninja world. But he also knew that this was basically impossible. After all, they all have a lot of things to take care of, and they can't throw things to the people below like the daimyo. After all, they are not daimyo and nobles, but clan leaders and elders. They don't sit in this position because of their bloodline, but because of the responsibility on their shoulders. Unlike their troubles, Bai Sui had a very comfortable time during this period, especially when people around him began to get used to using Chinese when communicating. He was moved from the bottom of his heart. For the first time, he felt at home in the ninja world. Thanks for the reward. Thank you for your support, thank you. Chapter 52 Curse. Not only the second elder and the clan leader were communicating, but the first elder and the fifth elder were also discussing. After seeing the rapid growth of the Uzumaki clan during this period, these two originally conservatives also had an idea in their hearts and began to discuss the banner they would use to establish a country in the future. After all, they now understand the meaning of orthodoxy. If they really want to establish a country, they naturally have to think carefully about the doorway. Unlike the optimism of the others, the third elder has been very worried recently. Walking on the road and watching the children gradually get used to communicating in Chinese, he became even more anxious. Because he found that the ideas in the books brought by Bai Sui were too complete, which simply completely defeated their original ideas. It was this one-sided defeat that led to the rapid sinicization of the entire Uzumaki clan. Although he also admitted the greatness of these ideas and the preciousness of those knowledge, this was not a reason for him to sit back and watch the original ideas and culture of the clan disappear. But he thought that he couldn't give up the treasures that Bai Sui brought. He knew very well that even he, who had realized the problem, couldn't give it up, let alone other people. That's why he was always anxious. Today, he decided to talk to Bai Sui about this issue. But things didn't develop as he imagined. Bai Sui solved it very simply. Third elder, since you are worried about the loss of the original thoughts and culture, then take the essence and remove the dross, and integrate the good things into the new thoughts. There is no way. Chinese thought is like this: inclusiveness is strong, and there will always be excellent content extracted from different thoughts and cultures to fill it in. Bai Sui also believed that as long as he ensured that those children learned Chinese as their mother tongue from an early age and were exposed to Chinese thoughts from an early age, their roots would not be led astray by others. After returning, the third elder began to study with others what were the essences of the original culture and sorted them out. Bai Sui himself was happy to see such behavior. After all, this was the fastest way to localize Chinese thoughts. Although the Uzumaki clan wants to preserve it within the clan, Bai Sui himself naturally hopes that it will spread as widely as possible. After all, only in this way will there be more soil for Bai Sui to plant the seeds of cultivation. Bai Sui has been promoting education in the Uzumaki clan for several years, but it is still too early so far. After all, it takes 10 years to grow a tree and 100 years to cultivate a person. Now it is just that the children's thoughts are changing in the direction expected by Bai Sui, But don't forget that they really have a long contact time with their respective families. The influence of the original family on the children cannot be ignored, so if Bai Sui really wants to promote cultivation, at least another 2 or 3 generations of efforts are needed. By then, the education, environment, and people around the new children will mostly be people with Chinese ideas, and Bai Sui can spread the inheritance with confidence and wait for new Taoist friends to appear. And Bai Sui can really wait for a few generations. After all, Bai Sui does not have to consider the issue of lifespan for the time being. A few hundred years is definitely not a problem, and even trying hard to live for 1,000 years is not impossible. As for Uzumaki Ashina and others, although they still expected Kashiwa Sui to teach the younger generation to practice, it would be best if they could learn his powerful and unpredictable abilities. However, as Kashiwa Sui brought out more and more knowledge, they could not finish their research, and gradually no one tried to spy on the power of Kashiwa Sui. After all, Kashiwa Sui had a famous saying that only by understanding the books he brought out could one formally accept his inheritance. Kashiwa Sui was not idle either. On the one hand, he studied various curse seals and ninjutsu, and on the other hand, he hurriedly deduced the dragon talisman. He also took the time to copy out the books he saw in his previous life and compiled them to a certain extent according to the situation in the ninja world. In this way, while repairing the books, Kashiwa Sui also reviewed the knowledge he had learned in his previous life, and gradually picked up some things that had been returned to his teacher in his previous life. While Kashiwa Sui was deducing the dragon talisman, his understanding of the ninja world's curse seals became more and more profound. Although it was a little troublesome to use because of the lack of chakra, it did not hinder the deduction of pure curse seals. So after Bai Sui expanded the space of his own storage jade pendant to 216 cubic meters, he also helped the Uzumaki clan to improve the seal scroll. The original seal scroll actually did not have a large space. Each set of corresponding curse seals could only open about 1 cubic centimeter of space. So if you want to open a large space and store a large number of items, you have to make a large scroll and write a large number of curse seals on it. It is extremely inconvenient if you carry it with you, and it is also very difficult to make. After Bai Sui's improvement, each set of curse seals can open about 5 cubic centimeters of space. Although the curse seals have become more complicated and difficult to make, it is not too difficult for people who can make large seal scrolls, although the limit of their own chakras has led to fewer curse seals being written in the end. But from the final product, the volume of the scroll is nearly 30% smaller than before, and the space opened is nearly doubled, which can be regarded as a huge success. That is why there is no Jinchuriki yet. Otherwise, Kashiwasa suspected that with a tailed beast chakra, a Jinchuriki who is proficient in the seal would be able to directly make a seal scroll that can store all the materials of a country. In addition to the seal technique, the most proficient thing among the Uzumaki clan is to make detonating talismans. Thanks to the large number of records and insights about detonating seals in the clan, Kashiwasa successfully deduced a dragon talisman. For this dragon talisman, Kashiwasa can only condense it in the void through his spiritual consciousness for the time being, and cannot engrave it on jade or other things. Because this dragon talisman is extremely violent, it will ignite a large amount of heaven and earth ki almost at the moment of condensation, forming a sea of fire. The temperature of this flame is also extremely high, which can almost melt metal instantly. Even jade will not last long before it will melt. And even Kashiwasa's spiritual consciousness will be burned by this flame. Therefore, the discovery of this dragon talisman only provides Kashiwasu with an uncontrollable means of attack for the time being, and other applications are still under deduction. Although Bai Sui intentionally stayed away from the tribe when testing the dragon talisman, the flames that shot up into the sky soon attracted the investigation of the Whirlpool tribe. When they learned that it was Bai Sui who was testing a new technique, they could feel the heat on their cheeks even though they were still a kilometer away, watching the original hill being burned into a pool of lava. Chapter 53, War Begins Again. When Bai Sui was testing the iterative storage jade pendant, he found that it could store the seal scroll. In this way, the storage space in Bai Sui's jade pendant has increased several times. At the same time, it was confirmed again that the dragon talisman could not be activated by using chakra. As for whether the fairy chakra could be activated, Bai Sui did not know yet because he had not tried it. Bai Sui did not look for the 3 holy places. After all, the fairy art still interested Bai Sui. However, the 3 holy places seemed to be non-existent. Whether it was based on the relevant memories in the previous life or combined with the rumors in the ninja world, he had never found them. In the end, Bai Sui had to doubt that the so-called three holy places might very well exist in a space independent of the ninja world, just like the Pure Land. Unlike the stable development within the Uzumaki clan, the entire ninja world has been in turmoil again in recent times. It may be that the daimyos saw that the ninjas had almost recovered, and once again began to entrust tasks on a large scale, muddying the waters of the entire ninja world. Because they learned about the actions of some nobles from Bai Sui, the Uzumaki clan sent people to investigate the news and corroborated Bai Sui's information from many aspects. After learning about the ill intentions of those nobles, the entire Uzumaki clan did not take on any missions. Except for some missions that were really too rewarding, no one else was accepted. There was no other way. There were too many places in the Uzumaki clan that needed manpower. Whether it was the emerging ninja workshop or various chakra-driven facilities and equipment, they all occupied a large number of manpower in the clan. After the clan leader and a group of elders calculated, they found that ordinary missions were really not worth accepting. The manpower consumed by the same mission could create more value in the clan. However, it was not easy to reject those nobles too obviously. After all, it was not the time to turn against each other. So in order to avoid suspicion from the outside world, the senior officials finally decided to put on a show. There was no need for many people. The clan leader and a group of elders took action to divide an area that was originally to be renovated in the clan land and create a terrorist attack here. Bai Sui was responsible for the destruction, and the rest of the people arranged large seals and added some traces of fighting around. So Bai Sui used his dragon talisman to burn 1/5 of the clan's territory into ruins. In order to make it look real, the clan leader and his men also captured some enemies, put on the uniforms of the Uzumaki clan and threw them into the sea of fire. After the fire burned for a full day, everyone began to put out the fire, not for anything else but to look more miserable. Through this action, Bai Sui also roughly assessed his current destructive power. If he went all out, he could destroy the entire Uzumaki clan with just the dragon talisman. Of course, this clan land refers to the area where the clan members gathered, not the entire jurisdiction of the Uzumaki clan. You must know that the Uzumaki clan has been secretly expanding its territory over the years, and its actual territory is even larger than some small countries. It is precisely because of the need to ensure that such a large territory is not noticed by others that the Uzumaki clan has to send a large number of people to guard it secretly and leave all those who find abnormalities. It is precisely because of such a cautious approach that even the Senju of the forest, as an ally, only knows that the Uzumaki has expanded some territory to this day, but does not know how much it has expanded. There is no other way. If the king is not discreet, he will lose his ministers. If the ministers are not discreet, they will lose their bodies. If several things are not discreet, harm will be done. If you really want to accomplish something big, you must keep it secret before launching it. And in order to play it more realistically, you have to think of ways to cover up the deliberate fire in the clan, and deliberately lead the noble waiters to other roads when they come. Because it is different from the previous route, although most of the waiters will not ask directly, they will also remember it in their hearts. For those waiters who ask questions, the tribe members who receive them will follow the previously trained words and talk about other things. In the end, after more than 2 months of prevarication, someone accidentally discovered the truth of the matter, and then various rumors of the Uzumaki tribe being attacked came out. And the tribe leader Ashina and his people, in order to prove that the strength of the tribe has not been lost, they personally went on a mission. This move made other people who got the information secretly laugh, saying that the Uzumaki clan must have suffered a great loss of strength this time, and the tribe leader has been anxious and lost his mind. Ashina took advantage of the meeting and pretended to have overheard someone else's ridicule. After a change of face, he seemed to have accepted his fate and stopped accepting any missions. Seeing the Uzumaki clan leader's actions, some people were happy and some were worried. The worried ones were the ninjas who had been on good terms with the Uzumaki clan in the past, while the happy ones were the ninjas who had never dealt with the Uzumaki clan and wanted to take more missions. As a result, there was one less active figure in the subsequent ninja disputes. Although everyone was a little uncomfortable at first, they even had to guard against Uzumaki's sudden attack. However, after several persuasions from Senju, the Uzumaki clan still chose to retreat. Slowly, everyone gradually chose to forget about them. After all, war is not a joke. When dealing with the enemy, one must pay 120% attention. Naturally, there is no extra energy to pay attention to a coward who voluntarily withdraws. In fact, under Kashiwasu's suggestion, the Uzumaki clan still squeezed out some people to collect intelligence from various places. After all, they were pretending to be disabled but not really disabled, and they couldn't just do things by themselves and become a little deaf and blind. As time went on, the outside tribes gradually lost manpower, while the Uzumaki tribe became more and more skilled in collecting this intelligence. As one gained and the other lost, the intelligence collected became more detailed and complete. Every week, the senior executives would take time to analyze the collected intelligence together. At first, they felt that this was time-consuming and laborious and had no benefits. But they insisted on doing it because of their trust in Kashiwasui. As time went on, combined with a comparison of intelligence before and after, everyone was gradually able to explore the reasons behind it through the appearance. For example, this family was due to insufficient food supply, which led to the enemy's flank, because they knew where the enemy's food reserves were. For example, the reason why this family was short of food was because several nobles who usually sold them food said that their enemies had robbed them of their food, or for some other reason. In short, the other party had to go to war. For the first time, the senior executives observed the entire battlefield from a third-party perspective, and it was also the first time they discovered how the ninjas were played by the nobles. As a result, the entire ninja clan hid deeper and deeper, trying their best to avoid being noticed by others, and even handed over a small portion of their visible territory and resources to a group of allies in order to ensure effectiveness, just to be able to develop in secret. Chapter 54 Patriarch. The secret development is not only aimed at the development of the clan itself, but also includes various external actions. For example, using ninjutsu, pretending to be ordinary people, purchasing various resources in a retail way, and then using the specially developed pocket seal scrolls to secretly transport the corresponding materials. In this way, a large amount of materials are hoarded and try to disguise as a traveling merchant or other identities to trade with the ninjas whose materials are stuck. Of course, the premise of doing so is to ensure that they will not be discovered. If there is any possibility of being discovered, they will choose to give up, even if it means throwing away a batch of goods. Therefore, under the condition of targeted peddling of the other party's scarce materials, the Uzumaki clan can be said to have made a lot of money, and it also disrupted many of the original arrangements of the nobles. And through the deliberate guidance of the Uzumaki clan, even with the help of the hidden pieces that Kashiwao discovered when he walked in the ninja world in the past, those nobles arranged in the ninja clan, in turn framed those nobles. Although the noble civil war that Ashina and others expected did not occur, after all, playing this kind of conspiracy and calculation is what the nobles are good at. It also exacerbated the distrust between some nobles. After all, although those nobles can be united in general, they all hope to make profits in various details, so they have used many means in private, and no one is clean, so they can only muddle through as a muddled account. The senior officials who have tasted the sweetness have increased their collection of intelligence and have taken a lot of time to carry out targeted training. Bai Sui observed for a while and confirmed that everyone was not blinded by these interests. They just drew out some of the originally idle forces instead of filling them with the originally planned forces. Bai Sui let it develop naturally. Unlike those senior officials who are now focusing on seeing who has resource gaps, Bai Sui is more concerned about the general trend of the entire ninja world. When he reads the intelligence every day, he even has the illusion that he is reading a newspaper. Bai Sui also looked at whether there was anything major happening in the ninja world as usual that day, and found the problem inside. The patriarchs of the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan were seriously injured in this fight, and the two almost exchanged their lives. Although the intelligence sent only roughly described the injuries of the two, without more content, the information behind it was enough for Kashiwasa to appreciate. According to the time, it is time for the two to ascend to the position of clan leader and lead the two clans to their respective peaks. There is nothing special about the growth trajectory of the two, but what Kashiwasa is concerned about is Madara's Mangekyo. Although it is not explicitly stated in the previous life of the Hokage, Kashiwasa speculated that it is very likely that it was stimulated by the death of his father that caused Madara and his younger brother Izuna to open the Mangekyo. After all, after Izuna's death, Madara became the eternal Mangekyo. It can't be said that Izuna opened the Mangekyo much earlier than Madara. Kashiwasa thought for a long time and decided to talk to Madara, mainly to explore the so-called Mangekyo. Although the rules were set, Kashiwasa was not ready to set off now, but to wait until Uchiha Tajima was confirmed dead before setting off. After all, if Tajima was not dead and Madara came to Kashiwasu for treatment, Kashiwasu felt that he would be very embarrassed. However, Uchiha Tajima has been in the clan since he was seriously injured. Outsiders basically cannot sneak in and investigate under the gaze of the Sharingan, which leads to the lack of information for Kashiwasu. After waiting for a few days, Kashiwasu did not wait for the news of Uchiha Tajima's death, but waited for the bad news of Senju Fukuma, which was learned from the Senju clan members who came to invite to attend the ceremony. As an ally, the Uzumaki clan naturally cannot be absent. Considering that Madara and Hashirama are basically synchronized, the time of succession should be similar if not on the same day. So Kashiwasu and Uzumaki Ashina set out from the Uzumaki clan at the same time, but one went to the Senju clan and the other went to the Uchiha clan. When they arrived outside the Uchiha clan, there was a forest about 2 kilometers away, and Kashiwasu stopped his steps and used his spiritual sense to explore the situation from a distance. Sure enough, Kashiwasu saw that the succession ceremony was also being held in the Uchiha clan, and Uchiha Madara officially succeeded his father as the new clan leader. However, what Bai Sui did not expect was that Madara actually discovered his investigation. Although he did not find the specific location of Bai Sui, the other party obviously felt Bai Sui's consciousness. Although it was only a moment, the changes in Madara's eyes were still detected by Bai Sui's consciousness. Madara did not have an attack during the ceremony, but pretended to be nothing and went through the entire process, but Bai Sui could feel that the other party had been alert to every place in the entire scene. Bai Sui did not retract his consciousness, but kept covering the other party, letting him know that he was still paying attention to the other party. Waiting for Madara to take over the ceremony, when he was alone, Bai Sui used his consciousness to draw an arrow on the ground. Although due to the distance, it was extremely difficult for Bai Sui to control his consciousness, and even the arrow was drawn crookedly, almost unrecognizable. However, Madara, who had been alert to the surroundings, naturally saw all this. After a little contemplation, Madara found his younger brother Izuna and said that he was going out for a trip, so that the other party would be on guard in the clan and wait for his signal. Although Izuna was a little worried, she also knew her brother's character and did not say anything to stop him, but just told him to be careful. Madara followed the marks drawn by Kashiwasu all the way and came to his own location. In order to avoid misunderstanding, Kashiwasu specially found a wide and flat place to show that there was no ambush. Madara's eyes saw Kashiwasu standing there from a distance. Looking at the other's face that had not changed at all from more than 10 years ago, he was speechless for a moment. Looking at Madara standing silently in front of him, Kashiwasu took out a set of tables and chairs from the storage jade pendant, intending to sit down and talk. Feeling the scene in front of him, Madara remembered the scene when he and Hashirama chatted and played in Kashiwasu's wooden house. There was a hint of tenderness in his eyes, but this tenderness was soon covered by determination. I heard that you joined the Uzumaki clan. Although the Uzumaki clan has retired now, they are not allies of the Uchiha clan. Why did you appear near the clan's territory and lead me here? Hearing Madara's cold words, Kashiwasu was reminded of that tsundere boy who had played with Hashirama in the wooden house before. He couldn't help but want to laugh. Although he controlled his mouth corners and didn't change, the slightly upturned corners of his eyes were noticed by Madara. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55 Chat? Feeling the cold expression of Madara, Bai Sui also put away other emotions and went straight to the point. Well, I learned from the Senju that your father was seriously injured and died. After seeing Hashirama, I wanted to come to your place to see you, but I didn't expect that you would find out, so I just led you out to see him, so as not to let you misunderstand anything. Bai Sui said it truthfully. After hearing Bai Sui's explanation, Madara's expression eased a lot, but then he thought of something and looked into Bai Sui's eyes and released an illusion. Feeling the mental fluctuations transmitted through the other party's eyes, Bai Sui did not disperse it, but followed his power to pull the other party's consciousness into his own mind. Madara felt a great danger at the first time, but it was too late. Before he could open the Meijekyo, his eyes went black. Perhaps because of the opening of the Meijekyo, Bai Sui found that Madara's spirit was extremely tenacious, and he woke up with just a trance of consciousness. Of course, this is also because Bai Sui did not have any bad intentions, so it is normal for the other party to wake up so quickly. Madara, who had just woken up, was about to start struggling. Bai Sui felt that the other party's spirit was getting more and more. At this time, Bai Sui had to use his spiritual sense to directly disperse the subsequent spirits and then eliminate the part that was introduced. Even if Madara's spirit became stronger after opening the main Gekyo, he would have to lie down for a long time, even if he did not become a vegetable. Bai Sui's voice came from all directions. Madara, you don't have to worry. I have no ill intentions. I just felt the spiritual fluctuations transmitted by you and just pulled your consciousness into my Niwan palace. You can also directly understand it as a consciousness space. Although there is still some gap, it can be understood in this way. Feeling the other party's spirit gradually calming down, Bai Sui revealed his own soul. The originally dark space was suddenly filled with golden flowers. Madara, who felt all this head-on, felt that his spirit, which had been a little turbulent since he awakened the main Gekyo, had calmed down. Feeling the spiritual fluctuations transmitted by Madara, Bai Sui knew that the other party had completely calmed down. So he restrained his brilliance and appeared in front of Madara. Madara looked at the plain and simple Kashiwasu in front of him, thinking of the brilliant yet soft, dazzling yet not glaring light just now, and then felt a ubiquitous mental oppression around him. What was even more rare was that such a strong oppression could still ensure that his spirit was not damaged. For the first time, Madara intuitively felt a gap between the two sides, and it was in the spirit that the Uchiha clan was proud of. Feeling the other party's fleeting sense of frustration, Kashiwasu rarely comforted him. Don't feel discouraged. How old are you? I have been practicing for decades. How can you surpass me so easily? At your age, I am much stronger than me. Madara felt Kashiwasu's kindness. Although he didn't say anything because of his personality, he nodded slightly, which was regarded as accepting Kashiwasu's kindness. Kashiwasu didn't say much about the other party's awkward temper. After all, it was not the first time he had seen it. The other party had been like this since childhood. The reason why I brought you here is that I actually felt that there was something wrong with your spirit. You can feel the violent emotions that I suppressed before, right? Ban nodded, indicating that he knew, and looked at Bai Sui, waiting for him to continue. It is too difficult to explain it to you through words. After all, I still have to explain to you what the primordial spirit is and what the conscious spirit is, and that your strong mental power is being attracted by the conscious spirit because your conscious spirit has not stepped down, etc. These are not things that can be explained clearly in a short time. That's why I am going to let you intuitively feel what the primordial spirit is, and help you temporarily suppress the conscious spirit, so that you can have an experience. Since I only pulled a small part of your spirit, when your consciousness returns, the conscious spirit will soon take the dominant position again. But I think that with your talent, after feeling the conscious spirit being suppressed once, you should be able to grasp the throbbing of that moment, and rely on your own heart and your own beliefs to defeat the conscious spirit and let your primordial spirit return to its place. Although Ban didn't understand the words such as conscious spirit and primordial spirit that Bai Sui said, with the current state as a reference, he felt that he could definitely do it. Well, anyway, he had the confidence. Bai Sui continued, there is one more thing you should pay attention to. I just felt what you call pupil power, and its essence is converted from mental power. In my words, it will consume the spirit in the spirit. Under normal circumstances, people consume spirit every moment, and your Sharingan only calls on a small part of the spirit. If used normally, the damage is not too great. As long as it is not used too much at one time, you can always recover after a period of cultivation. But your current eyes are different. I found that it converts pupil power very quickly, so it consumes a lot of your spirit back and forth. Although your spirit has also improved because of these eyes, I found that the improvement is more in quantity, and the improvement in quality is relatively small. However, if the quality is not improved, the extra amount is really not enough for you to squander. I found that your pupil power extraction speed is now more than 10 times faster than that of others with 3 Magatama. In this case, unless you restrain yourself from using pupil techniques, it will not take long for your spirit to be exhausted, and the performance of exhaustion should be revealed from the eyes first, I think. Because your eyes will be damaged due to frequent use, they will not break out because there is a lot of pupil power in them at ordinary times, but once your spirit is seriously depleted and can no longer be converted into pupil power, The problems originally buried in your eyes will burst out. In the previous words, Madara may only be a little concerned, but when it comes to the problem of eyes, thinking of his brother, and thinking that it is impossible not to use these eyes in the war, Madara is a little anxious. Is there any way to solve it? After all, you also know that as long as you are in the ninja world, it is impossible to eliminate fighting, and fighting will inevitably involve the use of pupil techniques. Based on some of the information I have explored, plus some of my personal speculations, there are still a few ways to come up with. Of course, I don't have a Sharingan after all, and I can't verify it myself, so it is inevitable that there will be some bias. You can just use it as a reference. Bai Sui continued, the first speculation is about your eyes. Since this blood limit causes you to become stronger due to the drastic fluctuations in your emotions, then you should continue to dig deeper. Thank you for the monthly ticket of the Joker's Key Rin arm. Thank you. Chapter 56, Senju Hoshirama. The legend is true, then if the bloodline purity of the Sharingan in your clan is high enough, it is very likely that you will obtain the eyes of the sage. Of course, this is just my guess, you just listen to it. After all, I'm not a ninja, and I think you know more than me about how to purify blood. There is no way to tell directly. After all, those are just the plots in the memory of the previous life. Even the old thief Kishimoto doesn't understand the specific details of the operation. Even if Kashiwaho tells the process of Sharingan Mangekyo Eternal Microphone Rinnegan, there is no way to make his blood evolve except to let Madara take his brother's eyes. However, if you dare to say that you want to take his brother Izuna's eyes in front of Madara, even if there is a big gap in strength between the two, Madara will definitely fight hard. In this case, it is better to say it in general terms and guide the other party to explore it by themselves. Bai Sui continued, the above-mentioned part about the blood limit is considered an innate factor, and it depends more on the gift of parents, and cannot be chosen by oneself. Next, I will talk about what can be done in the acquired aspect. Since it has been confirmed that the essence of pupil power is the conversion of mental power, can we start directly from the mind? As far as I know, there are also many mental ninjutsu and applications in the ninja world. After all, illusion is the most common example of mental power application. Not only your Uchiha clan, whether it is the Kurama clan, the Yamanaka clan or the Blood Pond clan, as well as some other ninja clans known for illusions, I think they have a lot of experience in spiritual cultivation. There are even ninjutsu such as the spirit transformation technique that can allow the soul to leave the body, turn oneself into a living soul, ignore the distance and kill the enemy, and control the other party's body and enter the spiritual world of others. After thousands of years of development, the ninja world has borrowed many genius ideas and the legacy of various predecessors. If you look for it carefully, you will definitely find the ninjutsu and practice methods you want in the ninja world. Madara remembered what Kashiwasu said and planned to ask his tribesmen to look for her after he returned. Even if it was for Izuna, he would definitely find her. Madara looked up at Kashiwasu and hesitated, but finally spoke. Excuse me, do you have any method to strengthen the spirit? Yes, Kashiwasu was very sure, but, seeing Kashiwasu pondering, Madara also made up his mind to salute Kashiwasu. Feeling Madara's action, Kashiwasu just moved his faith, and a pressure suddenly appeared in the whole Niwin palace, but this pressure did not overwhelm Madara, but fixed Madara in place, preventing him from making any movement. It's not that I don't want to give it to you. Since I've told you all this, I want to give you a method of cultivation. It's just that I'm still a little hesitant for the time being, because this way of cultivation is somewhat different from the way you ninjas cultivate, and I don't know if there will be any problems after you practice. That's why I hesitate. After all, if you really want to talk about it, it must be the relevant cultivation methods summarized by the ninjas themselves that are more suitable for you. If it's really because of the difference between the two systems that you have problems in cultivation, then I'm just doing a good deed with bad intentions. After listening to what Bai Sui said, Madara still insisted on saluting and expressed his willingness to try, so Bai Sui told Madara about the two methods of visualization and meditation. It's not that he couldn't give him a ready-made method directly, but to avoid the other party from misunderstanding some details due to differences in culture or understanding and eventually going astray. So Bai Sui simply told the other party the concept of cultivation directly. As long as there can be no problem with the concept, although it is still difficult, it is better than starting from scratch. In fact, Bai Sui still had something to say. He felt that Madara was more suitable for the visualization method. As for the visualization diagram, he would choose Susanoo. If he really practiced successfully, he could also echo the Susanoo condensed by his main Gekyo, which in turn would strengthen his heart and be more conducive to his practice. Bai Sui did not stay for long. After communicating with Madara, he left. Although Madara sincerely invited Bai Sui to visit the clan, Bai Sui still refused. After all, no matter what, he is now an elder of the Uzumaki clan. If he really visits the Uchiha clan directly, he will send some signals to the outside world. In order not to cause all kinds of troubles to the Uzumaki clan out of thin air, Bai Sui flew back to the clan directly, but found that he came back earlier than Uzumaki Ashina, who went to the Senju clan to watch the ceremony. After returning, Uzumaki Ashina convened a group of senior officials for a brief meeting, mainly to talk about his own discoveries. At the succession ceremony of Senju Hashirama, in order to maintain the dignity of the clan leader, he showed his strength to everyone. Although it is not known whether this is the opponent's full strength, the large sea of trees that rose from the ground really shocked the guests who watched the ceremony. The reason why the Ashina clan leader came back late was that he relied on the relationship between the two clans and asked many people for information. He found that the true strength of Senju Hashirama was much stronger than what he showed. This time, everyone was summoned to discuss the future mode of getting along between the two clans with this new clan leader. After some discussion, everyone finally unanimously decided that the entire Uzumaki would just follow the Senju and cheer. If the Senju can really prosper under the leadership of Senju Hashirama, then the Uzumaki will shrink behind the opponent and attract the attention of others. The Uzumaki will provide some supplies to the opponent and occasionally help to prevent the clan members from losing their fighting spirit because of excessive comfort. If they pretend to be a pig and become a real pig, they will really become an eternal joke in the ninja world from now on. After the resolution was passed unanimously, the top management arranged a set of supplies overnight and had someone send it to the Thousand Hands clan, which was considered as the support of the allies for the new clan leader. Thanks to for the reward, thank you for your support, thank you. Chapter 57 Attack of the Uchiha. The entire ninja world was originally focused on the replacement of the Senju clan's patriarch, waiting to see what the new patriarch would do next, but the Uchiha clan, who had been silent before, took the initiative. Moreover, the Uchiha clan was extremely crazy this time, and they attacked the surrounding small ninja clans at an extremely fast speed, wantonly annexing and plundering, just like locusts, razing everything they went to. It was also at this time that people discovered that the Uchiha clan had also changed their patriarch, and the new patriarch was like a god descending from heaven, turning into a huge god of war. All the forces that tried to resist were wiped out by the giant's long sword. For such an extraordinary force, everyone would not sit and wait for death, and they also made several attempts to try to kill the new Uchiha clan leader with the advantage of numbers. However, they forgot one thing: the Uchiha clan is one of the most powerful clans in the current ninja world. How could they sit and watch their clan leader being besieged? As a result, something that made the world despair happened. When the Uchiha ninjas blocked the coalition forces that intended to besiege Madara, another giant similar to Madara appeared and cooperated with a group of clansmen to annihilate all the ninjas present in the coalition. Although this newly appeared giant was obviously inferior to the clan leader, with only half of his body and looking like a skeleton, his powerful combat power still shocked the ninja world. While the Uchiha clan was killing people everywhere, the Uzumaki clan was also holding a meeting to discuss, not because of the rise of the Uchiha clan, but because of the relevant intelligence intercepted from the nobles. Yes, facing such a strong Uchiha, the first to be unable to sit still were the nobles and daimyo. They fully deployed their own forces, issued a large number of forces against the Uchiha clan, and openly and secretly blocked the trade of related materials. However, the Uchiha clan, who was swallowing up other ninja clans, did not care about the interruption of these supplies, because they had already obtained them through war. Even because of the supply cut, they were prompted to annex other ninja clans and plunder supplies. Facing the current Uchiha, which is in its heyday, the ninja clans will naturally not go crazy to provoke it. After all, Uchiha is only attacking those small clans now. Although these big clans are shocked by Uchiha Madara's strength, they are not really afraid. After all, who of these big clans doesn't have one or two tricks in their hands? If they really provoke him, the worst thing is that they will die together. Even if their backup cannot directly eliminate Uchiha, they will definitely be able to severely injure him. Facing the Uchiha with greatly damaged strength, other big clans will definitely unite to attack him. So although the current Uchiha is extremely crazy, and the size of the entire ninja clan is also growing rapidly. Those big clans are all indifferent, allowing him to do whatever he wants, even if all kinds of tasks with sky-high rewards are placed in front of them, they are indifferent. Seeing the attitude of these big clans, the nobles had to use another plan, which was the result of their secret research over the years, a group of secret warriors with obvious characteristics of those big clans. Let these warriors secretly target the Uchiha clan members who are alone, and secretly leave some hidden clues to guide the Uchiha clan to take the initiative to hostile to those big clans. Because this method has great risks, if it is discovered, it is very likely to trigger a large-scale conflict between the nobles and the ninjas again, so this is also their last resort. The reason why these nobles are so anxious is that there is a precedent for this matter. About 700 or 800 years ago, there was also such a powerful ninja clan, the Huangba clan. The detonating talisman was invented by this ninja clan. It was precisely because of the convenience of the detonating talisman that it rose strongly. In the location of the Tea Kingdom and the Vegetable Kingdom south of the Fire Kingdom, it annexed other ninja clans and established a country ruled by ninjas. With the concerted efforts of the nobles, they finally stole the method of making the detonating talisman and quickly spread it to the ninja world. Although other ninja clans were not proficient in this, they finally curbed the expansion of the other side. After that, the nobles paid a considerable price and finally disintegrated the country from the inside. Although this country ruled by ninjas only existed for a few years, it was also a start for other ninja clans. In the following hundreds of years, there will always be some ninja clans trying to challenge themselves. This is also the reason why the Uzumaki clan has the idea of establishing a country. After all, it is not that no one has done it. Although it did not succeed in the end, who among these big clans would admit that they are not as good as others? Always think that you are the special one. If you do it yourself, maybe you will succeed in establishing a country. Although there is a legend in the ninja world that this is a curse imposed by God on ninjas, because ninjas themselves have obtained power beyond ordinary people, so God will not allow ninjas to establish their own country. As time went by and various ninjas failed to establish a nation, most people gradually believed this rumor, but there were always some who didn't believe it, and among these people who didn't believe it, the big clans were the most. Seeing the current Uchiha, the fierce momentum can be ranked among the previous ninja clans, which is why the nobles can't sit still. After all, compared with the disintegration of a country, it is more cost-effective to contain a ninja clan before it grows to its peak. In the end, it was the current daimyo of the Land of Fire who established a relationship with Hashirama Senju in his personal name. After all, the Senju clan is indeed a relative of the daimyo family. If you really count according to seniority, Hashirama today has to call the daimyo uncle. The war between the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan was not over, but because of the sudden change of the Uchiha's goal, they temporarily took a wait-and-see approach. After the daimyo's visit, he used the sowed seeds in the Senju clan to stir up a blood feud between the two clans. After all, no matter what, the former clan leader, Hashirama Senju's father, did die after being wounded by Uchiha Tajima. The war between the two clans has not been going on for more than a year or two, and the blood feud that arose during this period is almost impossible to quell. Now, seeing that the Uchiha clan is becoming stronger day by day, the clan members have a sense of anxiety buried deep in their hearts. Now, under the instigation of some people with ulterior motives, the clan's wind direction has almost unanimously turned to the war with the Uchiha clan, and decided to hit it hard from behind. Hashirama, who was swept up by the clan's public opinion, finally agreed to go to war with the Uchiha clan, but he did not agree with the clan's plan for a sneak attack, but openly issued a letter of war to Madara. Chapter 58 Fight. The letter of challenge from Senju was spread intentionally by the nobles and soon became known to the ninja world. After all, no matter how much some people disliked or even hated the Uchiha clan, they had to admit that the current Uchiha clan was the strongest ninja clan in the ninja world. And such a ninja clan, its every move affected everyone's mood, so now everyone was looking forward to the result of this duel. When they learned that Hashirama had issued a letter of challenge to Madara in his personal name, the Uzumaki high-level officials in the conference hall were quite puzzled. After all, Madara's 100-meter-high Susanoo was really eye-catching. Although it was not its strongest posture because its strength was still growing, the power it showed was already the most vivid performance of splitting mountains and splitting the earth. And Hashirama, knowing that the opponent was powerful, actually chose to fight alone, which surprised everyone. After all, No one thought that the head of the Senju clan would be a fool who overestimated his own abilities, so he was already certain. If it was true, then the meaning behind it would be different. 5 days passed quickly, and the other Uzumaki clan members, except Kushiwasu, looked at today's protagonists, Hashirama Senju and Uchiha Madara, who were standing in the distance facing each other, with complicated expressions. Madara, we meet again, but I didn't expect it to be in this way. Hashirama looked at Madara in front of him, with mixed feelings in his heart, including joy for his childhood friend's current achievements, worries about future developments, and other complex emotions such as hatred and grief. Compared to Hashirama's complex emotions, Madara acted rather indifferent. Really? I thought that after you and I succeeded as clan leaders, we had already made preparations to attack the outside world for the development and growth of the clan. You can't still be naive enough to think that peace can be created by words alone. Don't be naive anymore. Hashirama, interrupting Hashirama who is still thinking about something, Madara directly set the tone for the fight. Okay, you and I are not here to reminisce about the past. I believe you have learned about my strength through various channels before. In this case, you still dare to challenge me to a fight. I believe your strength must have greatly increased over the years. Let me see if your strength is worthy of your ambition. Originally, the onlookers were a little surprised by the attitude between the two new clan leaders. They didn't seem to be enemies, but rather a pair of friends who had known each other for a long time. However, when they saw the two suddenly retreat and distance themselves, all other thoughts were suppressed. They focused on the two people on the field, waiting for the next battle to begin. Without letting everyone wait, the battle between the two was extremely intense. Unlike others who would want to find a viewing angle to avoid missing the exciting battle, Bai Sui did not have such worries. After all, his spiritual sense had long been around the two, and he could always see the fight between the two. Fire style, great fireball technique, the standard Uchiha opening move, but unlike other Uchiha's basin-sized fireballs, the diameter of the fireball released by Madara was close to 10 meters. The spiritual sense detected that when Madara released this ninjutsu, there was obvious mental fluctuation in his eyes, which made Bai Sui suspect that this ninjutsu far beyond the level of ordinary people was blessed by Madara's main Gekyo pupil technique. After all, judging from the memories of Naruto in the previous life, it did not indicate what Madara's main Gekyo exclusive pupil technique was, and now combined with his own observations, Bai Sui had reason to suspect that this was one of Madara's pupil techniques. Snap. Wood style, tree realm wall. With a clap of his hands, a shield formed by multiple wooden vines quickly grew from the ground about 3 meters in front of Hashirama, blocking the huge fireball that was flying. The collision of the fireball and the wood escape stirred up dust on the ground, which temporarily covered the two people who were fighting. Unlike them, who stared with their eyes wide open, wishing they could see through the smoke and dust, Kushiwasu closed his eyes and put all his energy into his consciousness, because he felt something strange from Hashirama's wood escape just now. It was just because Hashirama's ninjutsu just now was released very carefully that Kushiwasu didn't see it clearly. Now that he is observing with all his strength, Kushiwasu believes that he will be able to discover the secret. People can't see through the smoke and dust, but they can feel the bursts of gas explosions, sounds and flames caused by the fight, and can only speculate secretly based on their own experience. Those who are on good terms with the Hyuga clan don't need to go through so much trouble. They can just listen to the Hyuga clan's retelling. It seems that the two are evenly matched. Although Uchiha Madara's fire escape is much stronger than that of ordinary people, Senju Hashirama's wood escape is also extraordinary. Although Uchiha Madara is the one attacking, Senju Hashirama does not seem to be suppressed by him. Instead, he seems to be looking for Uchiha Madara's weakness and waiting for the best time to attack. Before the Hyuga clan member finished speaking, Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama flew back from the smoke and dust. Not only that, while flying back, the two of them made different movements with their hands, and each of them quickly formed a seal. Obviously, the two of them still have a lot of room for improvement, and are far from the complete form that can release all ninjutsu with just one seal. Would escape, tree world birth. Hashirama was slightly faster and used the ninjutsu first. The ground quickly cracked, and fast-growing trees were pulled out from it, creating a forest in just a moment. The border of the forest was still spreading outward rapidly, not only in the direction of Madara, but also spreading around with Hashirama as the center point, forcing the people who were just watching to retreat in order to avoid being involved in the fight between the two. And Kushiwasu also confirmed the difference between Hashirama's ninjutsu. After all, even if Hashirama's chakra amount was indeed far beyond that of ordinary people, he really didn't reach the level of releasing such a big move at will. Kushiwasu found that perhaps because of Hashirama's physique, the chakra he released for the use of ninjutsu would spontaneously absorb the ki between the celestial bodies. In other words, the chakra used in the jutsu released by Hashirama was far less powerful than what he showed. Which was also the reason why the wood escape released by him could last for a long time. Knowing the information he wanted to know, Kushiwasu retreated with everyone else and continued to observe the fight between the two from a distance. Fire escape, great fire extinguishment. Madara gathered chakra behind his throat and spit out a large piece of flames like seawater in front of him. The range was very wide, and it even looked larger than the forest created by Hashirama. The speed of the sea of fire was much faster than that of the forest, and it immediately collided with the spreading woods. For a moment, the heat wave rushed to the crowd with the sound of the collision. Thank you for the reward from, thank you for your support, thank you. Chapter 59, Transformed into a Giant. The high temperature of the flame dried the trees and quickly ignited them, and the flame did not stop the trees from continuing to grow, so a strange balance was formed between the sea of fire and the sea of trees. Among the onlookers present, only the people of the Senju and Uchiha clans were more excited. After all, it was their clan leaders who caused all this. The stronger the power they showed, the happier they were. On the contrary, the other people who originally wanted to eat melons, after feeling the strength shown by the two people in the field, would inevitably bring themselves into it, but they unfortunately found that if they were on the opposite side of any of the people below, they would be easily suppressed. Unlike those who only judged the strength by watching the battle performance, the Hyuga clan could intuitively see the chakra in the bodies of the two people due to the special nature of the Byakugan. Even after the two fought and released such a powerful ninjutsu, the chakra in their bodies was still extremely abundant, and they could continue to fight with such intensity for another day. If the two of them continued to destroy them for a whole day, or attack them, how much damage could they cause? Just thinking about it made the Hyuga clan members feel palpitations. Although Hashirama's tree world will grow on its own, the slower it grows in the later stages, until the chakra injected by Hashirama is exhausted. As the growth of the trees slowed down, the speed of the flames gradually exceeded the speed of their spread. In the eyes of the crowd, the sea of fire gradually suppressed these towering trees and slowly spread towards Hashirama. In order to solve this dilemma and avoid turning the battle situation into an unfavorable side for himself, Hashirama once again formed a seal and began to mobilize a large amount of chakra in his body. Wood release, flower tree world descends, the forest, which had originally slowed down its growth due to severe chakra consumption, once again regained its vitality. No, it was squeezing the sea of fire towards Madara at a much faster growth rate than before. Faced with the forest growing again, Madara did not react immediately. After all, in his opinion, this was just a way for Hashirama to resist his fire release, and it seemed extremely naive. In Madara's view, this was just that Hashirama didn't want to admit that his ninjutsu was inferior to his own. After all, even if his sea of trees could grow again, it would be useless. After all, Madara's flames would burn all the trees sooner or later, it was just a matter of time. However, Hashirama used the flower tree world to descend, not simply to restore the growth rate of the trees. Madara soon discovered the difference. His eyes were sharp and saw that the trees grew taller and bigger, and many flower buds grew in them, and these flower buds were also growing and expanding at a strange speed. And starting from the flower buds around Hashirama, they bloomed in circles from the inside to the outside, and with the blooming of the flowers, countless pollen spread out. Madara, who had experienced many battles, naturally would not let these pollens get close. He quickly formed a seal and spewed out a huge fireball from his mouth, hitting the pollen that was so dense that he could see it directly in front of him. The fireball quickly ignited the dense pollen, but perhaps because it was too dense, it did not explode. And the entire flame quickly spread to Hashirama in the center of the forest along with the pollen. When the flames were about to burn back to Hashirama's position, Madara suddenly felt a trance in front of his eyes, and even his body seemed extremely stiff. Almost instantly, Madara judged that he had hit Hashirama's move. Thinking of the pollen just now, Ban knew that the problem should be with it, but his temporarily paralyzed body prevented him from forming seals or solving it through physical techniques. So Madara had to stimulate the pupil power hidden in his eyes. Almost instantly, The blue Susanoo ribs wrapped around Madara, isolating him from the outside world. As the chakra injected increased, not only the ribs, but also the entire skeletonized upper body of Susanoo emerged. Perhaps out of recognition of Hashirama's strength, of course, it may also be revenge for the loss just now. Madara's Susanoo not only showed the half-body state of the first and second stages. Instead, it directly burst out a large amount of pupil power and chakra, and a complete Susanoo appeared in everyone's sight. The Susanoo was nearly 100 meters tall, with 4 arms each holding a long sword. Every step it took would cause the ground to tremble, and Madara was in the head of this giant, looking down on everyone like a demon god who despised all living things. Through his divine sense, Bai Sui saw the 2 bloody tears on Madara's face, as well as his eye meridians that were highlighted due to the large amount of pupil power running. He judged that the Susanoo that appeared in this form should be Madara's limit. However, everyone who was watching from the outside felt the oppression of Madara's giant, not to mention Senju Hashirama, who was the first to bear the brunt. Looking at Madara with his hands on his shoulders, and then looking at his tiny brother standing on the ground, Senju Tobirama was extremely worried at the moment. Although he knew that his brother was powerful, he was also worried about his brother when he saw this 100-meter giant with his own eyes. Hashirama, I have to admit that your strength has improved a lot, but you are unstoppable under this divine and demonic power. Just admit defeat. For the sake of our past friendship, I can accept your surrender. Listening to Madara's deafening words that were amplified by chakra, Hashirama smiled. He also condensed the chakra in his throat and amplified his voice. Madara, it's too early for you to be complacent. It's not that I haven't made progress over the years. Since you have shown such strength, then I won't be polite. Wood style, woodman jutsu, Hashirama poured almost all of his chakra into the ground beneath his feet. With the infusion of chakra, the ground expanded and rose visibly. After a mound of earth about 2 meters high swelled up, the ground finally couldn't withstand the pressure and cracked, revealing the wooden head underneath. As the head appeared, the growth rate of the entire wooden man became faster and faster. In a few breaths, the wooden man pushed Hashirama to a height of 100 meters. In front of him, there appeared a tall wooden arhat that could compete with Madara's blue giant. The entire wooden arhat was even half a head taller than Madara's Susanoo. When seeing Hashirama using the wooden man technique, Kashiwasu discovered the difference from his previous life memory. This tall wooden arhat was smaller than the one in his memory. And there was no wooden dragon coiled around his body. Obviously, the current wooden man technique was not Hashirama's peak state, and there was still room for improvement. However, the confrontation between the 2 giants directly ignited the crowd of onlookers. After all, Madara's blue giant had been leaked before, but no one knew about Hashirama's wooden arhat. For a while, all kinds of noisy discussions rang out. Chapter 60 Truce. No matter how the people outside discussed and argued, it could not affect the 2 people confronting each other in the field. Although it was not the first time that Hashirama used the wooden man technique, he had only tried it once before in order not to cause unnecessary panic. At this time, Hashirama controlled the wooden arhat to move its hands and feet in front of Madara, so that everyone could see the huge arhat with a hideous face, jumping up and down like a large monkey. However, this kind of nonsense made the people outside unbearable. Although the pollen released by Hashirama's advent of the flower tree world was burned by Madara's fire, there were still many residues. It was precisely because of these residues that Madara was hit. The people watching from the outside did not actually understand what happened. After all, pollen must be spread with the help of external forces, such as wind. After the 2 started fighting, the crowd retreated several times, so they were not poisoned by the pollen at the first time. However, the jumping and moving of the wooden arhat of the Hashirama led to a large amount of airflow, blowing away the pollen. At the beginning, everyone just felt the wind pressure, and then many people collapsed to the ground for no reason. The only people who could stand steadily were the clan leaders of each tribe, that is, the powerful senior officials. But even if they were weak in their hands and feet, they were struggling to hold on. The people who seemed out of tune with the crowd were the people of Uzumaki. After all, Bai Sui's spiritual field was a passive ability, and he didn't need to actively open it. As long as there was anything entering the spiritual field, he could find it. So he isolated the pollen outside the field at the first time, and even formed a thin spherical pollen membrane. The people present were all experienced people. Even when watching the battle, they did not completely relax their vigilance, so they found the abnormality at the first time. It was just because Hashirama's move had never been used before, so everyone was caught off guard. Because most of the pollen had been burned, and the distance covered was not short, the concentration of pollen in the air was not high, so those with better physical fitness recovered faster and began to help their families recover. Uzumaki was blocked by Bai Sui from sending pollen out, so he did not find anything unusual at the first time. He only realized something was wrong after seeing everyone around him lying down. Bai Sui briefly explained the situation to Uzumaki Ashina, and the clan leader only hesitated for a moment before arranging for the clan members to help their allies recover after taking precautions. He also started chatting with Bai Sui. Although the new Senju clan leader is a little childish, his strength should not be underestimated. This is just the aftermath of the fight between the two of them, and he has knocked down so many good players present. If they were caught off guard and took this move, I'm afraid the clan would be wiped out. Bai Sui agreed. I have been optimistic about these two children since they were young. I still remember that they were only this tall at that time. Now, in the blink of an eye, they have become the best masters in the ninja world. Time flies so fast. The clan leader became interested when he heard it. Oh? Did the fourth elder know them before? I haven't heard you say that. Not only Bai Sui and the others were chatting, but also the ninjas who were replied began to talk with people they knew. It's not that the fight between Hashirama and Madara is no longer important in their eyes, but they have already recognized the gap between them. If they were to fight alone, they believed that they were no match for any one person in the field. Only by gathering the strength of the entire clan could they contend with them. However, the problem was that they were not alone. When combined with their clan, the destructive power was beyond their control. Moreover, the fighting style between the two giants was not something that could be used as a reference for the people present. After all, if they could also exert such power, they would probably be the protagonists today. Therefore, after recognizing the gap, the people naturally wanted to find a way out for themselves. Today, because of the invitation of the two, many large clans around them gathered together. Naturally, they wanted to use this opportunity to build relationships and see if they could get some benefits for themselves. Among them, the most people came to try to get close to the Senju clan and the Uzumaki clan. After all, the strong man in the field was the new patriarch of the Senju clan. With such a strong man, the power of their clan in the future can be imagined. Even if Hashirama didn't expand as recklessly as Madara, there would be many small clans that would choose to rely on the Senju clan in order to survive after today. In the future, they would inevitably become two bright banners in the ninja clan together with the Uchiha clan. The battle between the two giants did not last long. They just chose to stop after destroying a plane in a valley. Both of them had tested the opponent's strength and judged that they were not sure of winning, so there was no need to continue fighting. After all, they were not stupid. They would not really fight here to the point of mutual destruction and create opportunities for others. The battle was declared over after 5 hours, and the two clans officially signed a truce. Seeing the two being surrounded by their respective clansmen, the other clan leaders who were not too familiar with them chose to leave first after exchanging greetings. As these people left, the story of this battle began to spread. Due to the previous propaganda of the nobles, most of the eyes of the ninja world were focused here. Now those nobles wanted to stop the spread of the battle situation, but they were powerless. Yes, the nobles are the ones who regret the most now, and many of them even wrote letters to rebuke the Fire Country daimyo. The Fire Country daimyo really didn't expect this result. He originally thought that the Senju clan would gather other ninja clans to besiege the Uchiha clan, and even the so-called invitation to fight today was an excuse, just to lure out Uchiha Madara so that he could be killed. Even the daimyo has made preparations for both situations, whether they succeed in besieging the Uchiha clan or not. If the Uchiha clan is annihilated by everyone, although they will pay a large sum of money, they can directly put their minds at ease. Even if the Uchiha clan is really fierce and cannot be eliminated even after so many forces have gathered, the daimyo is not afraid, because in that case, he can openly publicize the threat of the Uchiha clan in the ninja world and gather more forces to besiege the Uchiha clan. The only thing that the Fire Country daimyo could not have imagined was that his nephew, who had been Loki before, had actually demonstrated such powerful strength. Moreover, the Senju clan was different from the overbearing Uchiha clan and took a gentle approach. Chapter 61 Follow-up. Therefore, in the current ninja world, there are both Senju and Uchiha, two super clans with completely opposite attitudes towards the outside world. Any of them has the ability to easily destroy any ninja clan other than the two, Because of this, the nobles have some difficulty in starting. Now, whether or not to publicize the threat of Uchiha, it will only make the situation develop in a direction they don't want to see. After all, if the brutality of Uchiha is widely publicized now, more ninjas will choose to join Senju, and this kind of joining is not forced by the Senju clan, but those ninjas are asking the Senju clan to take them in. In the long run, even if the Senju clan has no idea of establishing a country, it will spontaneously form a prototype of its power due to problems such as life and management after gathering a large number of ninjas, and it will be extremely stable. It will not be so easy for the nobles to split it up. However, if the Uchiha clan is ignored, according to their current expansion speed, it will not take long before all the ninjas in the Land of Fire, except those surrounding the Senju clan, will disappear. As for sitting back and watching the two clans fight, this is naturally what the nobles dream of, but it is difficult. With the strength shown by the two, they will eventually develop into a one-man show in the clan. At that time, no matter how the nobles try to sow discord, it will be useless as long as the two clan leaders disagree. And the difficulty of instilling ideas into such a strong man can be imagined. After this, many nobles secretly held a meeting. The whole meeting had only one topic, that is, how to target the Senju and Uchiha clans. However, the final conclusion they came to was that there was no conclusion. There were too many ideas among the people, and in the end no one convinced anyone. They could only choose to wait and see and take a wait-and-see attitude for the time being. Of course, this so-called wait-and-see does not mean doing nothing, but these nobles do not unify what plans to promote. The nobles can do what they want to do in private, those who are willing to take action can take action, and those who want to make friends can make friends. This can be regarded as a kind of survival experience summed up by these nobles over the past 1,000 years. After all, eggs cannot be put in one basket. If the rise of the two families is unstoppable, then the nobles who choose to befriend them may continue to survive and then try to make a comeback. The choice of the daimyo of the Land of Fire is to befriend Hashirama Senju and use the relationship between the two sides to try to strengthen the connection between the two. Not only the daimyo, but also the surrounding ninjas have such ideas and want to deepen their relationship with the Senju family, and the Uzumaki clan is among them. Unlike other families, the Uzumaki clan has a natural advantage in this regard. After all, the two families have always been allies and distant relatives. In order to strengthen the relationship, Uzumaki Ashina decided to betroth his daughter Uzumaki Mito to the other party. Uzumaki Ashina's proposal was agreed by many people in the Senju clan. After all, in their opinion, their patriarch is already in his 20s, which is considered an older single person in the ninja world. Now someone has taken the initiative to propose marriage, and the other party's identity can be said to be well matched. Although the Uzumaki clan has been in retreat in recent years because of the attacks on their clan, as their distant relatives and allies, they have a deep understanding of each other's attainments and sealing techniques. Even if they are not the main force on the battlefield, they can provide them with great help. Not only that, Uzumaki Miro is a famous beauty in the Uzumaki clan. If the head of the clan can marry her, the two will be a perfect match. Such matters are often decided by the elders. After the death of Senju Furuma, such responsibilities fell on the elders of the clan. After talking with the same pillar, the elder confirmed that he did not have a girl he liked, and he did not dislike Uzumaki Mito, so he quickly found Uzumaki Ashina to discuss their marriage. This is a good thing. Naturally, the two clans did not block the news, so both clans were filled with a joyful atmosphere at the same time. Even Kishiwasu was driven by this atmosphere when he saw people discussing enthusiastically and sending blessings, and went back to the house to prepare things. After all, it was the daughter of the clan leader who was getting married, so the dowry would naturally be richer. As an elder, Bai Sui would not be stingy. He thought about the previous battle between Hashirama and Madara. At that time, Bai Sui observed that Hashirama's chakra would actively absorb the energy of heaven and earth after use. In this case, Bai Sui decided to start in this regard. He found a piece of chakra metal from his storage jade pendant and gave it to the craftsman in the clan, asking him to melt it and mix it with other metals to make a set of armor. To be honest, the craftsman was a little confused about Bai Sui's instructions, because chakra metals were used in weapons in the past, and no one had used it to make armor. Because the role of chakra metal is mainly its good conduction performance for chakra, which can reduce the loss of ninja chakra, such as the later Sword of Thunder God Sword of Senju Tobirama. The reason why Bai Sui used chakra metal was simply because it could carry the dragon symbol he carved, so Bai Sui was ready to refine a set of dragon symbols in this armor. The effect to be achieved is very simple, that is, to actively absorb the energy of heaven and earth and store it. Although the amount stored is not much, it can only be used to make the tree world birth that Hashirama performs once, and there is a cooling time of about 1 week after each use. However, it can accelerate the formation time of Hashirama's ninjutsu. For example, when Hashirama used the wooden man technique before, it took half a minute from the time the seal was completed and the chakra was injected until the entire wooden man grew to a size of 100 meters. Although this time is already very short, if Madara did not wait for Hashirama to complete it, but directly took action, even if Hashirama still had means to deal with it, it would further slow down the release of the ninjutsu. With the ki stored in the armor, in Kashiwasu's judgment, this time should be shortened to about 20 seconds. Don't underestimate this 10 seconds or so. For masters, 10 seconds is enough for them to do many things. Although this half-minute casting time is due to the fact that Hashirama is still growing, even if Hashirama is at his peak in the future, the wooden man will not be opened in seconds. The reason is not the limitation of Hashirama, but the limitation of the ki of heaven and earth. Because the concentration of ki between heaven and earth is here, it is not enough for Hashirama to reach the point of breaking the wooden man in seconds. In other words, even if Hashirama is at the peak of his powers in the future, this armor can still help him. And such an armor as a dowry can be regarded as Kashiwasu's love for the younger generation, and it can also prevent Miro from being neglected after her marriage. Of course, from what Kashiwasu knows, Uzumaki Miro is not a weak person, he is just doing his part. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, Welcoming the Bride. Bai Sui packed the armor he had made and gave it to Uzumaki Mito, and explained the purpose of the armor. When the time comes, Mito can put it on Hashirama and explain its purpose. Mito is not a little girl who knows nothing. Not only is she a master of the younger generation of sealing techniques in the clan, but her own strength has also reached the level of a Jonin. However, she lacks some experience in fighting with others. Just by listening to Bai Sui's explanation, she immediately knew the preciousness of this armor and hurriedly saluted Bai Sui to express her gratitude. After accepting Miro's greeting, Bai Sui took out a pearl and handed it to Mito. The one just now was actually for Hashirama. Although it is good, you can't use it after all. This pearl has also been refined by me. Not only will it not age, but it will also emit a faint light in the dark. It can be regarded as an artificial night shining pearl. I don't know what kind of jewelry you like, so I will just give it to you directly. You can look at what kind of jewelry you like and make it later. Normal pearls will have the problem of aging. Even if this pearl is a sea pearl, it is better in texture than freshwater pearls, but because of its own properties, it will inevitably age and turn yellow after 100 years, losing the unique beautiful luster of pearls. This is the reason why people grow old and pearls turn yellow. Although this pearl, which has been specially processed by Bai Sui, cannot carry the dragon talisman due to its material, Bai Sui thought of his original sword that was nurtured by the natural energy. So he tried to inject the water-attributed ki into it. After being nurtured by the water-attributed ki, Bai Sui discovered a change of this pearl, which would emit a light blue light. Because it was extremely weak, it could only be seen in the dark. And Bai Sui found that after this pearl, which had been nurtured, was separated from Bai Sui's nurturing, the water-attributed ki in it would dissipate outward, but this dissipation process was extremely slow. According to Bai Sui's judgment, if there is no human intervention, it will take 100 years for the ki inside to dissipate completely, that is to say, it will not age within 100 years. Everyone loves beauty. Mito, who got the night bright pearl, was also very happy. Although she had to maintain etiquette in front of her elders, her upturned mouth corners still revealed her happy mood. Time flies, and the scheduled day came in a blink of an eye. The Senju family's wedding team also came to the Uzumaki clan. Uzumaki Ashina, Bai Sui and the Great Elder came out as elders to receive the Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobirama and the Great Elder of the Senju family. In fact, Kashiwasu was brought here purely by Uzumaki Ashina. After all, he was not a relative of Mito, so he was not required to participate in the ceremony. It was Uzumaki Ashina who took into account that Kashiwasu was familiar with Senju Hashirama, so it would be more lively if he was brought here. A group of people escorted Uzumaki Mito to the Senju clan. Originally, they were going to go to the temple to hold the wedding in front of the Buddha, but Senju said that there was a Buddha statue in their clan and they would not look for another place. Considering that Hashirama's wood release was either the wood Arhat or the thousand-handed Buddha, it was reasonable for the clan to have one or two Buddha statues. When he arrived at the Senju clan, Kashiwasu saw people busy preparing for the wedding, and the most conspicuous of them were those who were hanging white paper strips on the branches. Although it seemed a bit awkward to Kashiwasu, this was their custom, and he had seen it several times in the ninja world over the years. He knew that this was to attract the souls of his relatives to the ceremony. On the one hand, it was to inform his relatives that the two were about to get married, and on the other hand, it was to let these deceased relatives send blessings to the newlyweds, so that the newlyweds could stay safe forever. Soon, the time came. The wedding was presided over by Uzumaki Ashina and the elder of the Senju family. The two newlyweds read the marriage contract in front of the Buddha and told their ancestors that they would be together for 100 years and stay together for life. Finally, they presented jade beads and worshipped the ancestors and gods and Buddhas, praying for the blessings of the ancestors and gods and Buddhas to protect the two of them. Only then did the wedding ceremony end. Of course, this was only the end of the ceremony for the two newlyweds, and it did not mean that the ceremony between the two families was over. The marriage of the two was mostly promoted by political factors. The main purpose was to enhance the relationship between the two clans and make the original covenant relationship closer. So, that night, except for those who were assigned to guard duty, the rest of the ninjas were drunk in this joyful atmosphere. Of course, Kashiwasa was not a ninja, so she was naturally not among the drunk people. Instead, Uzumaki Ashina was drunk and was eventually helped back to the room by Kashiwasu. The next day, Senju Hashirama wore the armor that Kashiwasu gave to Mito and came to salute Uzumaki Ashina and others. After another round of blessings, Ashina said goodbye to his daughter, and the group returned to the Uzumaki clan in a mighty manner. On the way back, Kashiwasa noticed something unusual, but his spiritual sense was too much of a violation for someone who didn't know him. You know, even the Uzumaki family's perception ninjas didn't notice anything unusual about the other party. After all, there was no chakra flowing in the other party's body, but from the perspective of perception, they were just a group of ordinary people. Your group disguised themselves as a large caravan, with nearly 100 people in front and behind, driving 12 carts carrying goods forward. Kashiwasa immediately gave a warning and asked everyone to be on guard, so this wedding party, which was drunk yesterday and even a little sleepy just now, all cheered up, either using chakra or drugs, and always put themselves into combat mode. The caravan on the opposite side continued to move on the road at their original speed, and was not affected by the actions of Kashiwasa and the others, as if they were really an ordinary caravan. Uzumaki Ashina and the Great Elder also looked at Kashiwasui, waiting for him to explain the reason. Kashiwasui said directly, "I feel malicious intent. It comes from the caravan ahead, and it is specifically aimed at us. Everyone please be careful." Hearing Kashiwasui's feeling, both Uzumaki Ashina and the Great Elder became serious. After all, they have a deep understanding of how accurate Kashiwasui's feelings are after all these years of getting along with each other. Since Kashiwasui said that he felt the other party's malicious intent, it must be true, no matter how well the other party disguised it. So the people who were originally on guard immediately chose to take the initiative to attack under the arrangement of Uzumaki Ashina. Seeing that they had been discovered by Kashiwasui and others, the team of merchants no longer hid and took out weapons from the car covered with linen beside them. It's not just knives, shurikens, kunai, etc. The key is actually the large number of detonating talismans they hide under their sleeves. Be careful. Chapter 63 Attack. Those people had no intention of engaging in battle at all. The action of taking weapons from the car was just a cover to send a signal to the approaching ninjas that they wanted to engage in battle. But their real killer move was the large number of detonating tags. As the detonating tags were thrown in large quantities, the Uzumaki clan members who were rushing forward slowed down immediately. Before they could stop, the detonating tags on the opposite side had already arrived in front of them. If there were only one or two, it would be fine. After all, they were the elite of the clan and could still find a way to dodge, or at least avoid the vital parts. The key is that there are so many of them. At a glance, there are more than 1,000 detonating tags. When they are collectively detonated, they will directly form a life-restricted area with a radius of dozens of meters. Not to mention these ninjas, even if you throw a pure chakra metal statue in it, it will be directly blown into ashes. To be honest, this kind of attack is really unexpected, because this is the purest suicide attack, and those who throw detonating tags can't escape the explosion range at all. Seeing such a situation, everyone would naturally not stand by and watch, and they all tried their best to rescue those Uzumaki clan members who had already rushed forward. Although the elder was nearly 60 years old, his attainments and sealing techniques were definitely the best in the clan. He directly used the diamond seal, which was a top sealing technique even in the Uzumaki clan. Diamond seal was different from ordinary sealing techniques. It used chakra chains extending from the back to seal the enemy. Due to the special nature of its chakra chains, it was a rare and powerful sealing technique that could be used by a single person and had both offensive and defensive capabilities. At this moment, 9 chakra chains extended from the elder's back. There was no way he could release only half of the number of chains he could release when he was young. Although there were only 9, his flexible body caught the 18 clan members who rushed the farthest and pulled them to a safe place. Uzumaki Ashina, as the chief of the Uzumaki clan, was naturally not in vain. He immediately connected his chakra with the clan members around him and cast a temporary barrier. There were 15 people in total, with Uzumaki Ashina as the main one and the others as the auxiliary. Because of the limited time, they could only choose a limited barrier, and could only temporarily cast a variant of the red sun formation. Due to time issues, everyone was unable to reach the corresponding position in time, resulting in the red sun formation being irregular, and even looking crude and cheap. Fortunately, there were many people, and they were all elites who were proficient in sealing techniques, and they opened the barrier in a short time. The unfolding ending spread forward at an extremely fast speed, surpassing most of the clan members in the blink of an eye, blocking everyone and the detonating talisman. Bai Sui was not idle either. Before the 2 people around him made any move, he took the initiative and fully opened his spiritual field to spread forward. All the detonating talismans covered by the divine consciousness were directly turned into waste paper by Bai Sui, because the prerequisite for the detonating talisman to explode is that the chakra infused in it triggers the engraved curse seal. And the chakra will explode only after it runs a complete circle in the curse seal, and this period of time is also a period of safe time left for the user after the detonating talisman is ignited. Bai Sui's divine consciousness directly cuts off the chakra in the detonating talisman, so that the curse seal cannot be completely activated, thereby destroying these detonating talismans. However, these detonating talismans themselves were thrown more scattered. Bai Sui tried his best, but only destroyed 1/3 of the number, and the rest were too late. With a boom, even if everyone closed their eyes in time, the light produced by the explosion still penetrated their eyelids, causing a temporary blinding effect on everyone. Of course, the explosion did not affect the judgment of those tribesmen. Those tribesmen who hid in the barrier in time, feeling that the barrier was about to break under the impact of the explosion, also immediately used various defensive ninjutsu to try to further avoid injuries to everyone. Sure enough, the barrier didn't last long before it was destroyed by the explosion. The power of the hundreds of detonating talismans, after the number was superimposed, caused a qualitative change in power. The aftermath of the large number of explosions attacked everyone and crashed into the hastily erected earth wall. Most of the power of the explosion was borne by the barrier. Although the subsequent aftermath was still powerful, it was not much left after further shattering the earth wall. It only shattered the internal organs of several tribesmen closest to the explosion, causing them to spit out a few mouthfuls of blood. Such injuries are relatively serious for ninjas, but they can still be saved for the Uzumaki clan. After all, the Uzumaki clan is a ninja clan with a top-notch physique. Their strong vitality and corresponding treatment methods, although they cannot directly allow the injured to recover on the spot, they can still treat them without affecting the subsequent journey. Not only that, everyone also found that the other party's intentions were malicious and clearly calculated. After the explosion, there was only one intact carriage among the 12 carriages of the other party, and everyone found the bodies of the Uchiha clan in it. These bodies also seemed to have been baptized by the explosion, which was obviously a low-level frame-up. Combined with the previous suicide bombing attack of the other party, it is obvious that the other party is a team of well-trained dead soldiers, combined with a previous hiding method that was obviously intended to target a perception ninja. Uzumaki Ashina not only felt fortunate, but fortunately called Kashiwasu to go with him on this trip. If they had not discovered the abnormality of the other party in advance, they would have been blown up by the other party's detonation tags at close range. After that, whether it was the Senju clan who noticed the abnormality or the Uzumaki clan who came to look for them, they would only find a pile of corpses on the scene, plus the obvious corpse of the Uchiha clan not far away. Naturally, it would lead the two clans to think that this was the work of the Uchiha clan, and the purpose was also very simple, which was to destroy the union of the two clans. The two tribes will inevitably go to war with the Uchiha tribe because of this. At that time, the people who planned all this behind the scenes can sit back and watch the fight, waiting for the two families to be seriously injured. As for the corpses of these Uchiha tribes, not only did the Uzumaki tribe members fail to extract much useful information, even Kishiwasu could not find it, because these corpses were carefully handled and everyone's brain had been damaged. Although it seems a bit deliberate to destroy everything like this, judging from the traces at the scene and the explosion intensity of the detonating talisman, it is not impossible. This is very likely a means of misleading the two tribes that came to investigate, thanks to Mashin Junzi Wenren and Book Friend 202104071854444030 inches for their monthly tickets, as well as everyone's recommendation votes. Thank you for your support. 3. Chapter 64 Behind. Let's collect all the Uchiha's bodies. The first priority now is to return to the Uzumaki clan. We can consider the rest later, the elder suggested. Bai Sui agreed with this. That's right, elder. Anyone who can take out thousands of detonating tags and nearly 100 dead men at one time must be no ordinary person. It is very likely that he will take action after knowing that the plan has failed. It's better to go back as soon as possible. Uzumaki Ashina looked at the dozens of clan members who followed him out, and agreed with the words of the two, but he had other concerns. I think so too. The key is whether they will give up. There will be more than just this wave of ambushes on our way back. Should we turn around and ask for help from the Thousand Hands now? Bai Sui waved his hand, signaling the clan leader not to worry. We were just caught off guard by the other party before. I didn't expect someone to use so many detonating tags at one time. Now that we know the other party's conspiracy, we will naturally not let the other party take advantage of it. Don't worry about the return trip next. It's all up to me. In fact, the reason why he was able to be successfully attacked by the other party before was because the other party's detonating talisman was attached to him. Although Bai Sui's spiritual sense can penetrate everywhere, even perspective is not a problem. Although the people being seen will not even notice it, because of Bai Sui's own moral standards, he will not allow himself to use spiritual sense to see through others. Therefore, although Bai Sui looked at the goods on the car and found that there were many weapons and scrolls in it, it should be known that it is abnormal for a caravan in this world to go out without weapons. And the way Bai Sui thought of to let everyone return safely is actually very simple, that is, to fly back from a high altitude. After all, even if the other party has an ambush, it is not aimed at the air. They can directly strangle the other party's backhand by flying in the air. How to say it? After all, it has never been operated like this before. This is the first time that Bai Sui has taken so many people to fly. Under the full control of spiritual sense, he successfully brought everyone to high altitude, and in order to prevent being attacked as a living target, Bai Sui flew directly to the air nearly 300 meters above the ground. However, although the altitude was increased, the speed was decreased, which was more than half slower than the speed of the people before, and it consumed a lot of energy for Bai Sui. Halfway through the flight, Bai Sui remembered that the reason why he consumed so much energy was partly because of the weight, and partly because he had to drag each person individually, thus sharing his energy. If he had used a large platform before, it would be much easier. However, he had already flown halfway, and there was still an hour to go. It would be a bit of a loss if he landed now, so he just flew back directly. Everyone who landed safely praised Bai Sui's cleverness and power. After all, this was not a flying technique for one or two people, but the ability to bring dozens of people directly to the air. If he took advantage of the cover of night to drop dozens of elite troops from the air to the back or hinterland of the local area, the effect would be simply explosive. Bai Sui stopped everyone's flattery, and put one hand on his forehead to say that he had consumed a lot of energy and needed to rest. He also hoped that Uzumaki Ashina would arrange for someone to build a flying vehicle made of wood, and the lighter the better. If he had a vehicle in the future, his consumption would be less. The clan leader would naturally not refuse such a request. He ordered someone to go down and make arrangements, and then took Bai Sui and the Great Elder to the meeting room to discuss the attack. Soon, the second elder, the third elder, the fifth elder and a group of senior officials came to the meeting room, looked at the Uchiha corpse lying on the ground, and listened to the attack on the way back. They also spoke one after another. We can't eat this loss in vain. If the fourth elder hadn't discovered the abnormality in time, not only would we not be able to come back this time, but the entire ninja clan would have to go to war with the Uchiha. We can't just let it go. A young senior official was quite excited. Yes, it really can't just let it go, but the other party obviously came prepared and basically left no clues to trace the other party, the Great Elder said. At this time, the second elder spoke up. I think we can analyze from the perspective of the beneficiaries. Who will benefit from our confrontation with the Uchiha clan? Combined with our intelligence analysis, we can see if those suspected forces have made any unusual moves recently. I think it's almost certain. The third elder shook his head. It's not that simple. There are too many beneficiaries this time. I think the main purpose of this ambush may not be us, but to make the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan oppose each other. After all, now because of the strong rise of their two families, other forces can't raise their heads. Even if they don't fight each other to the point of being seriously injured, just showing a hostile attitude will give the other forces a lot of breathing space. What the third elder said makes sense. Recently, because of the rise of the Senju and Uchiha clan, everyone has been suppressed. Not to mention others, let's talk about our Uzumaki clan. Although we are distant relatives and allies of the Senju clan, aren't we also under double the pressure? It can be said that except for our three families, everyone else is a beneficiary of this incident. It is indeed too broad to investigate like this, a senior official said. It was because we chose to retire during this period of time and did not have too much interaction with the outside world that we saved up less than 10,000 detonating talismans. It is conceivable that these 1,000 detonating talismans are a reserve that cannot be underestimated among all forces. That's right. These 1,000 detonating talismans can actually directly eliminate some forces. After all, not everyone is good at making detonating talismans. There are many families like the Kaguya clan who use less than 1,000 detonating talismans a year. We can indeed start from this aspect. Although it is still quite difficult, it is better than rushing around aimlessly like a headless fly, a senior executive agreed. Chapter 65 Tracking. After simply deciding on a plan to track down the mastermind, everyone started discussing another topic, which was how to deal with the bodies in front of them, whether to return them to the Uchiha clan, and whether to inform the two clans about this matter. Unlike the previous discussion, although everyone had their own ideas, the general direction was to track down the mastermind, but there were slight differences in the details. Now, everyone has different opinions on these Uchiha corpses. Some think that these corpses should be used well to see if they can find out the reasons for their strength. If they can find some useful things in them, they may become a secret weapon to deal with Uchiha in the future. There are many people who have such an idea. After all, the power of Uchiha Madara is obvious to all. Who doesn't want to explore the mystery? It's just that there are naturally some who agree and some who disagree. After all, in previous wars, it's not that there have been Uchiha corpses that have not been obtained. It was found that their Sharingan was simply impossible for outsiders to control. As long as it was transplanted on a foreign race, it would always be open. Not only would it consume a lot of chakra, but they also found that the Sharingan would soon become blind and scrap due to long-term overload operation. Even if the Uzumaki clan can suppress the abnormal movement of the Sharingan with a sealing technique, they can add a manually adjustable sealing technique on it, and only open it when they want to use it, and choose to seal it when they don't need it. But after some attempts, they found that it was not worth the loss. Although the seal can be lifted, it is often too late to use it on the battlefield. If it is opened in advance, it will waste chakra. In fact, the Uzumaki clan is not so eager to obtain the dynamic strength brought by the Sharingan. After all, the Uzumaki clan plays the sealing technique, and is good at using barriers and curses. Compared with attacking, they are better at positional warfare. The dynamic perspective of chakra provided by the Sharingan can also be achieved by the Uzumaki clan's perception and jutsu. The most important thing is that they will be retaliated by the Uchiha family. In contrast, naturally no outsiders will spy on the Uchiha's corpse in public. Of course, it is only in public. Apart from other things, although the Uzumaki clan has no members transplanted Sharingan now, There are still several relatively intact Uchiha corpses in the sealed scroll. Those people thought that there were other more intact bodies in the clan, so why bother staring at these broken ones? It would be better to return them to the other party as a gift to make friends with Uchiha, and also use this to pull Uchiha into the team to find the mastermind. After all, since the person behind the scenes wants to make Uchiha and Senju oppose each other, they must not let the other party succeed. Although the two clans cannot form an alliance, it is also good to establish a common enemy and reach a temporary consensus. The two groups argued for a long time and failed to convince each other. In the end, it was Uzumaki Ashina who made the decision to invite Uchiha and Senju to come to Uzumaki for a talk. The reason why Uzumaki did not take the initiative to talk was that he was afraid that the senior officials sent by his family would be intercepted and killed by the mastermind halfway. In order to ensure the completion of the task of sending letters, Uzumaki Ashina simply arranged 12 teams at the same time, starting from all directions at the same time, and sending letters to the two clans by different routes. In this way, as long as the entire Uzumaki clan has not been surrounded by the other party, there will definitely be a team to complete the task. Fortunately, the other side did not have such great magical powers. After losing one team, the remaining 11 teams all returned. As for the team that was lost, it was the team that sent the letter to the Senju. This made Uzumaki Ashina have to think more. After all, the two ambushes were on the road between the Uzumaki and the Senju. Of the two clans that received the letter, the Senju needed no further explanation, because he was his father-in-law after all. Senju Hashirama immediately arranged some clan affairs and went to the Uzumaki clan with his brother Senju Tobirama. As for Uchiha Madara, he was confident in his own strength and wanted to go alone. He could think so, but others were not at ease. After all, the Uzumaki clan was the iron ally of the Senju, and they had become closer recently. What if this was a plan made by the Senju to deal with his own clan leader? They had seen the strength of Hashirama Senju before. Although they thought their family leader was still stronger, they had to admit that Hashirama Senju was able to contain their family leader. If Hashirama Senju attacked first and the other two clans gathered to assist, Madara would be in a bad situation. So after Madara expressed his willingness to go, Uchiha Izuna also organized a team of elite soldiers to go with him. At first, Madara said firmly that he did not need protection. Izuna said that these people would only wait outside the Uzumaki clan and would not show up unless something unexpected happened. So this team of people followed Madara all the way to the outside of the Uzumaki clan. Considering his brother's temperament, Madara finally agreed to let them go with him. With the arrival of the two clans, Uzumaki Ashina explained the cause and effect of the matter and returned the bodies to Uchiha. Izuna immediately sent people to check and found that it was indeed one of his clan members who had disappeared a few days ago, and the person had disappeared not far from his clan land. At that time, he sent people to search for more than 10 miles from the missing place, but he was not found. It caused quite a stir in the clan. After all, it was almost like slapping the Uchiha in the face. In the communication with the two clans, Uzumaki Ashina was basically sure that there must be a hidden person in the two clans who took action, otherwise it would not be done so perfectly. However, it was difficult to say this. After all, if they asked Uzumaki Ashina how he knew, he couldn't say that Uzumaki had recently arranged people to monitor them and had gathered a lot of intelligence. If this was said directly, it might not be possible to fight directly on the scene, so it was better to keep his mouth shut. And what happened next was similar to what the Uzumaki predicted. Both clans were angry that someone was calculating against them, and they said that they would not let go of the black hand behind it, especially the Uchiha clan. After all, they had clan members who had died in the hands of the other party. As for whether these people were secretly killed by the Uzumaki clan, they really hadn't thought about it. After all, they believed that the Uzumaki clan didn't have the ability to take people away without anyone noticing around their clan territory. You know, the other party was not just one person, but a small team. In fact, although they didn't say it, when this matter came out, Uchiha had already suspected that there was a traitor, but there was no evidence. Chapter 66 Preparation. In the days that followed, perhaps because of the impact of this incident, the two tribes did not form an alliance, but they did not show any hostile emotions. The two tribes went hand in hand and developed and grew together. The mastermind behind the scenes, I don't know whether he had given up or had other plans. In short, he had never been discovered by the three tribes and never took action again. Without the intervention of external forces, the two tribes strengthened themselves in their own ways. The method of the Uchiha tribe was crazy expansion and aggression. Although a lot of manpower was lost in the process, it also led to a surge in the number of people who opened their eyes. As long as the Uchiha tribe members who opened their eyes, they could be regarded as elites. Although the number of ninjas decreased, the overall strength increased. The Senju tribe accepted a large number of ninja tribes to surrender. Although the cohesion was definitely not as good as the Uchiha, it had more manpower and stronger strength, but it was a little scattered and there were more cannon fodder. Both tribes gathered a lot of resources in their own way, and these resources were enough for them to initially establish a country. But at this time, the Uchiha found their embarrassment, that is, there were too few people, and the only real ninjas were their own clan, and the rest were civilians. They were not stupid, and they knew that they could not force the establishment of a country. Otherwise, once Madara and Izuna had an accident, their clan would be exterminated. If they did not establish a country now, the future would be at most decline. In fact, the Uchiha clan also considered whether to relocate the clan. As long as they were not on the 5 major countries, they would go to any other small country. Even if Madara and Izuna were gone in the future, they could still guarantee their status. But the dignity of the Uchiha clan did not allow them to do so, and they did not even allow anyone to propose this plan, because in their view, this was escaping in a cowardly act. On the other side, the Senju clan now felt great pressure, because the Senju clan itself had no intention of establishing a country, but could not resist the instigation of the surrounding families. Because they gathered around the Senju, it was not without cost. After all, not all families were adjacent to the Senju, and many families abandoned many industries to join them. However, the territories and industries around Senju had been divided up long ago, and it was extremely difficult for latecomers to intervene and seek any benefits. These people were not prominent at first, after all, they were a minority. Later, as more and more ninjas came to Senju, these people gathered together, wanting to keep each other warm and seek development for themselves. In their discussion, they found that Senju could not make a profit in the current development model. After all, those families who came later, even if they were willing to contribute part of the resources, would give them to Senju, and then Senju would distribute them, and their share would not change much. So if they want to get a lot of benefits, they must have great contributions, but now Senju neither actively expands outwards, nor does anyone dare to provoke them. In this way, they have no chance to show their ability, and the only thing left is to let Senju establish a country. After all, as long as Senju establishes a country, they can be regarded as the merits of following the dragon, and it will be much better than the current situation anyway. Therefore, under the instigation of these families, more and more families saw the benefits, so they also worked harder to encourage. In the end, except for a few families who did not express their opinions, the rest of the families supported the establishment of a country, and for a time, they really held the Qianshao clan. After all, those families were not talking nonsense, but analyzed all the pros and cons. If they did not establish a country and had no stable resources to support them, they would sooner or later run out of money. And now, because there is no clear charter, although everyone will obey the instructions of Qianshao, the arrangements between the families often conflict, which is not conducive to management, and they are all hidden dangers. At this time, the hidden pieces that were buried before began to send various internal intelligence of the alliance back to their respective forces, and those nobles also knew the current situation in the Qianshao clan. So they held a meeting overnight to discuss this issue again. It's just that the process was not satisfactory. After all, according to their intelligence, Qianshao did not want to establish a country, but other families collectively prayed for Qianshao to establish a country. It was impossible to alienate them at this time. The only thing left was to confront them through tough means. But to be honest, they really didn't have the confidence to deal with the current Senju alliance. It wasn't that they felt that their strength couldn't beat these ninjas, but they felt that they really couldn't contain the two extraordinary forces of Madara and Hashirama. Yes, what really gave them a headache now were Madara and Hashirama. As for Izuna, although he could also transform into a giant, according to the intelligence of these nobles, Izuna's giant was at most a half-body skeleton, and relatively speaking, the mobility and destructive power were much smaller. They thought they could still deal with it. As for Madara and Hashirama, they analyzed and simulated for a long time and found that the opponent didn't need to confront them head-on. As long as they transformed into giants, no one could catch up with them, and their attacks would cause great damage every time, and they could kill their army simply by grinding. Finally, It was the daimyo of the land of fire who spoke up. I have talked with Hashirama Senju many times before, and learned a lot of information from him, including some about his dreams. He said that since he was a child he wanted to build a village without war, where ninjas of all races can live in peace, and children can receive a complete education and have a relatively good childhood, instead of dying on the battlefield at a young age. During my many conversations with him, I found that he actually did not have a desire for power, and his wish was not to build a country ruled by ninjas. So can we start from this aspect and help him build a village? I think we have all seen the intelligence we have received. In fact, the cause of this incident was entirely because those mice wanted to gain some benefits, so they tried their best to promote the establishment of a country. If we take the initiative to give up some of our interests and help him build a village, I think we can even promise some positions or authority to appease the rats, and bring them from their current separatist state into our system, and then gradually use power to corrupt and divide them, gradually make them useless, or turn them into a knife in our hands to specifically eliminate other disobedient rats. Quotation mark. Chapter 67 Preparation for Village Construction. After all, it's not like we haven't done this before. Which of you here doesn't have one or two ninjas working for you? Although we used to target those small clans for concealment, the situation is different now. There is a person who can be said to be the strongest person in the world. Although I don't know who is stronger between him and Uchiha Madara, I know that the Uchiha clan will definitely not be able to defeat the Senju alliance. In the past, although we also considered incorporating ninjas into our circle and then gradually eroding and assimilating them through various means of power, we were worried that after they tasted the power, they would be too ambitious in a short period of time and directly overthrow our rule. Now there is such a person who is almost certain to suppress the entire ninja world. He himself has no ambitions, and his ideas can even be said to be a little naive. Yes, he is afraid of war. He, a ninja, is afraid of too many casualties. We can completely start in this regard and put a yoke on the neck of the entire ninja through him, so that they can become our dogs, the Fire Country daimyo said and looked at everyone. If they are dogs, it's fine. I'm afraid they are wolves that can't be tamed. After they are fed and strengthened, they will bite us back. Some nobles obviously didn't agree. At this time, the daimyo of the land of water seemed to have thought of something. I have an idea. Since we are afraid that they can't be tamed, then we shouldn't tame them. Why don't we just give up most of the armed forces on the surface and say that we will give them the money to support the army and let them protect the country's security? Then we will show discord and let them fight. In fact, we don't have to pay this money. We can just integrate the funds that were used to instigate their internal strife and give them to them. Of course, I also know that there are risks in doing this. After all, who knows what the other party will think after hearing that we have disarmed, right? The daimyo of the land of water looked at the daimyo of the land of fire in the last sentence. Obviously, the meaning was, since you said that Hashirama Senju is trustworthy, why not set an example and let us all see the effect together? The rest of the nobles were talking to the people they were close to in a low voice. In the end, most of them had the same idea, that is, they agreed with the opinion of the daimyo of the land of water. After all, they didn't have many options now. If the daimyo of the land of fire was willing to test a law, they wouldn't mind seeing the effect. In the end, the daimyo of the land of fire didn't agree directly, but said that he would go and test the mouth of Hashirama Senju again, and then make a decision. After all, the daimyo of the land of fire was afraid of such a thing. Although the Senju alliance and the Uchiha clan were now under the jurisdiction of his land of fire, he would definitely stand at the forefront of the resistance anyway. But don't forget that if they were to go to war, they would use the coalition of all the nobles, and he was one of the 5 largest nobles, so he still had hope to preserve some of his power and let his family continue. But if Hashirama Senju didn't do it well, the other party might directly usurp the country. At that time, even if his family was still there, they would be useless without the power in their hands, and the end might be better than dying directly. Later, the Fire Country daimyo began to frequently summon Hashirama to his daimyo residence. During this period, he was troubled by the large number of calls for him to establish a country in the alliance, so he just came to the daimyo's place to relax. After a while, under the intentional guidance of the daimyo, the relationship between the two gradually became closer. At a family dinner that day, the daimyo casually mentioned Hashirama's dream. When Hashirama was once caught up in his vision of the future, the daimyo tentatively said that he could actually help. After that, the rhythm of the topic was diverted by the daimyo. Of course, Hoshirama was not really stupid, and naturally would not be taken advantage of by others for nothing. It was just that these ninjas were not very familiar with the system played by the nobles. When Hoshirama heard the daimyo say that he would hand over the country's external military security and other issues to the village, and was willing to set up a special position for the village, and was only responsible to the daimyo, he was a little confused. When Hoshirama finally left the daimyo's mansion, the only thing in his mind was the sentence that he could provide military expenses of about 5 billion taels every year. As for the sentence that it would depend on the annual national income and be maintained at 1% overall, he didn't listen at all. When he returned to the clan, under Tobirama's questioning, Hoshirama's original extremely excited expression gradually froze, because Hoshirama found that he had almost no impression of the details that Tobirama asked him. It was not clear whether he had never discussed it at all or said that he didn't remember. Hoshirama was originally excited and wanted to drag Tobirama to the daimyo to finalize the details the next day, but he was stopped by the clan members, saying that how could such an important matter be decided directly on a whim? Shouldn't the details be discussed carefully? So after 3 days of discussion, the Senju clan finally finalized various details, and then Hoshirama and Tobirama went to the daimyo again to finalize it. Seeing the two of them with such a detailed plan and templates with various details, the daimyo seemed to have taken a reassurance pill, because although this does not mean that they will definitely abide by it in the future, at least the current Senju clan has decided to fulfill their obligations seriously and act in accordance with the rules set by the daimyo. After that, the two discussed with the administrative officials around the daimyo, finalizing various details that they thought of and did not expect. At the same time, they also discovered the difference between these officials and ninjas. A sentence often takes several turns, and if you are not careful, you may fall into the trap of the other party. Little did they know that this was the daimyo who specifically asked the officials to restrain themselves, so as to prevent the two of them from turning against each other and leaving directly, otherwise the final plan might directly sell them out and help count the money. This also made Hoshirama regretful. He felt that if he had known that dealing with them would be so troublesome, he would have handed the matter over to the Nara clan. Their clan is so smart, and they must be good at dealing with officials. After returning to the clan, Hoshirama Senju began to tell other clans about his ideas and told everyone about the promise signed with the daimyo. When everyone heard about the high annual military expenditure, most of them began to calculate how much they could be allocated, and how to occupy a larger share of it, and how to allocate more power in the upcoming village. Almost no one noticed Uzumaki Ashina, who shook his head slightly, and did not even realize that he did not participate in the discussion about the allocation. Or someone noticed it, but was happier to have one less competitor. Chapter 68 Discussion. After returning to the Uzumaki Ashina clan, he immediately called together the top leaders to discuss the future direction of the Uzumaki clan. Clan leader, didn't we already have a plan? What happened? Someone didn't understand why the old matter was brought up again, and at the same time, it was also a chance for Ashina to talk. Yes, calling everyone together is indeed because the situation has changed. Before, we all thought that the entire Senju alliance would choose a place to establish a country. After all, everyone saw the atmosphere and tone in the alliance at that time, and the gathering can be said to be what everyone expected. I didn't expect the change to come so quickly. I don't know what medicine the daimyo of the Land of Fire gave to Hoshirama Senju, so that he was willing to turn the entire Senju alliance into a power group under the daimyo. Although in the past, all ninja clans would accept commissions from daimyo or other nobles to do things for them and receive benefits, the relationship between the two parties has always been a free employment relationship. If the ninja clan is unwilling, they can choose not to accept the commission. But the situation is different now. Once Hoshirama Senju agrees and takes the lead in doing so, it is very likely that the fate of the entire ninja will change in the future. After all, in the past, we were called ninjas only because we were able to use ninjutsu. As for what to do with ninjutsu, there were no regulations. However, once the plan between him and the daimyo was implemented, ninjas in the future would most likely become a profession dedicated to combat, just like samurai. To be honest, Uzumaki Ashina had never expected why Hoshirama would so easily hand over the fate of ninjas to those daimyo. Are they trustworthy? Especially since it seemed that not only Hoshirama Senju, but even the entire Senju clan agreed. Did they not see the possibility in this? Did they think that those nobles would treat ninjas well? How could it be possible? Just look at those civilians devastated by the war, and you will know that those nobles never care about how any person or group other than themselves lives. Looking at the high-level officials who were discussing fiercely in front of him, Bai Sui played with his fingers. It was not that he did not care about the content of this meeting, but he felt that the high-level officials present really understood the many works he brought out. Although it was not to say that they had already mastered all the classics, they had indeed gotten rid of the previous thinking mode and no longer limited their vision to themselves. Instead, they began to try to raise the level and analyze the future of the entire ninja world from a new perspective. Bai Sui did not say that he did not want to change the ninja world. He had always had such an idea, but he was convinced that he alone could not do it. Even if his strength was enough to dominate the world and make the entire ninja world change under his strong pressure, the final result would not be good. Because he knew a word that things change with his circumstances, and there was also a word called politics, follow the will of the people. At different times and different circumstances, people's ideas are different, and the policies needed also need to change accordingly. Therefore, the changes under Bai Sui's strong pressure will sooner or later go wrong and will not be suitable for the situation at the time. Then Bai Sui will cause damage to the entire ninja world instead of improvement. What does Bai Sui need? It was a group of people in the situation at that time who spontaneously began to learn, think, and try to solve the main problems in the situation at that time. In this way, generation after generation changed, and the entire ninja world would move forward generation after generation, and eventually move towards a better next generation. As for what it will eventually be, whether it is Datung or Gong or something else, Bai Sui doesn't care, because those terms are just the visions of the predecessors and sages for a better future. After all, they have never seen such a society. Whether it will be the best is really not necessarily. After all, there is a saying, there is no best, only the most suitable. And now the group of people arguing in front of Bai Sui, in Bai Sui's view, they are the first group of contemporary people who want to start changing this era. Bai Sui will help them, but will not dominate them, because Bai Sui is not them, not a person of this generation, and not even a person of this world. Don't persuade people to be kind without experiencing the suffering of others. Bai Sui is not considered a person of this world, so naturally he doesn't know what people of this generation desire most. Although ninjas are only a part of this generation, don't forget that Kishiwasu is not a saint. He will treat all the people in the ninja world equally. To put it bluntly, the reason why he helps ninjas and changes the ninja world is actually only part of the reason. The most important point is that he hopes that there will be strong people among the ninjas who can fight against the Otsutsuki. When the Otsutsuki clan comes to this planet, Kishiwasu hopes that even if he can't hide behind and enjoy the fruits of their labor, he can at least have a few more capable helpers. Don't be like Naruto. When the Otsutsuki people come, the entire ninja world begins to collapse in various ways. Not only can they not effectively cause harm or contain the other party, but they even give the other party all kinds of gifts. Looking at the debate that gradually stopped in the field, Kishiwasu reminded, in fact, the opinion of another family is also very important. Don't just discuss the Senju alliance and forget about Uchiha. Anyway, I think Uchiha Madara is not someone who is willing to accept the control of the daimyo easily. In fact, Kishiwasu didn't say anything. That is, Kishiwasu felt that they had listened to what he said when they were young, but after listening, the two made different choices. The ultimate goal of both of them is to stop the war and pursue peace, but they choose different paths and use different means. Madara believes that those who do great things do not care about trivial matters, and for the sake of long-term peace, short-term pain is acceptable. Hoshirama believes that short-term pain should also be avoided as much as possible, and this is where the two disagree. Everyone was not surprised by what Kishiwasu said. After all, the Uchiha clan has their own unique pride, and the new clan leader, Uchiha Madara, is the best among them. But even if everyone agrees with Kishiwasu's views, it is useless. After all, the Uchiha clan can be said to be extremely xenophobic. Didn't you see that their way of expansion is to forcibly annex after slaughter? Who dares to entrust the lives of their entire clan to them? Everyone knows that the other party actually disdains to violate the oath they made, but as the saying goes, people's hearts are separated by their stomachs. Who dares to entrust their life and death to the credit of a group of thugs? But this also brought everyone a new way of thinking. Although they could not join the Uchiha clan, they could use the other party's strength to achieve some goals. After all, sometimes they did not need to do anything. The other party's just existence would have an impact on others. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, It means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69 Founding a Country? When the Uzumaki clan discussed the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Madara had actually led people to the Senju base. This information is still on the way, and it will take some time for the senior officials present to know. The purpose of the Uchiha group is actually very simple, that is, to discuss the issue of founding a country with the Senju clan, but they did not expect to see everyone discussing how to distribute the bones thrown by the daimyo. Madara wanted to open the Gundam to show everyone some color. In fact, when Hashirama heard the clan members send a message saying that Uchiha was visiting, he was actually a little embarrassed. After all, when they were young, they had discussed some visions about the future peace of the ninja world with Kashiwaho. In fact, Hashirama didn't know that doing so was not the best solution, and it could even be said to be a slightly evasive approach. Don't forget that Hashirama has been very sensitive since he was a child, and can even sense the good and evil of others towards him. In fact, when the daimyo was with him, Hashirama could often feel malice from the other party. Of course, in this so-called Senju alliance, there is actually quite a lot of such malice, so although Hashirama was a little disappointed, he didn't mind it very much, thinking that this might be a natural fear or jealousy of the other party's strong strength. And later, when he really dealt with the other party's entire bureaucratic system, he found that the other party's entire system had a lot of malice towards them. He didn't tell this to outsiders, not even to Tobirama, but kept it firmly in his heart. Because he knew that once he told this matter, there was actually only one consequence, that is, at least their Senju alliance and the Fire Country would go to war. As for whether it would eventually develop into a war between ninjas and nobles in the records, he could only say that he didn't want it to develop that way. And once the two forces went to war, how much damage would it cause in the end? At least it would be a life of devastation and 1,000 miles of desolate land. At that time, his alliance, which was established for peace, would become the initiator of the war, which he really didn't want to see. That's why he was willing to follow the system set by the daimyo, just to keep the peace for a while. Even though he knew that this peace would not last long, it would at least be maintained before his death. As for after his death, he knew that Madara would be able to see the rejection and malice of the entire bureaucratic system like him, so how would his actions look in the eyes of the other party? It was because of these thoughts that he felt a little embarrassed about Madara's arrival, and even felt that he was a little ashamed to face his childhood playmate. The meeting between the two was very short. Uchiha Madara, who was originally furious and almost unable to suppress his anger, thought that Hashirama's brain had been trained for these years and could no longer think normally. He originally denounced Hashirama's stupidity and was deceived by those fat pigs, but when he saw Hashirama's slightly evasive eyes and scratched his head subconsciously when he was at a loss, Madara was completely disappointed. Because Madara knew what this meant, because the Hashirama in front of him had completely embarked on another path with him, and from now on the two would no longer be close friends, but rivals. The anger that seemed to be about to explode disappeared in an instant, leaving only coldness on Madara's face. That cold face would make people feel cold even in the hottest days of summer. Madara. Hashirama hesitated and wanted to explain. Senju Hashirama, I'm here to challenge you. On the first day of next month, you and I will have a decisive battle. You decide the location. After saying that, Madara didn't give Hashirama any chance to explain, and turned around and left. The clan members who had followed were a little dumbfounded. Did they agree to come here to discuss the founding of a country? How did it become a challenge in the blink of an eye? Although everyone was still confused, they all subconsciously straightened their chests and strode after the clan leader to leave, as if using their own actions to show everyone that they, the Uchiha clan, all supported the clan leader's decision and would fight him to the death. It was not until everyone was 6 or 7 miles away from the Senju base that Uchiha Izuna asked his brother, "Brother, didn't we agree to come to them to discuss the establishment of a country, and not to fall out even if we can't reach an agreement? Why are we? There is no need to talk anymore. Not only will they not establish a country, they will also actively block all ninja clans that want to establish a country. They are already the enemy of all ninja clans." Uchiha Madara's words were very cold. Then Izuna wanted to say something else, but considering the current location of everyone, he finally decided to wait until he returned to the clan. On the other side, the high-level officials of Uzumaki also received urgent reports from their subordinates, knowing that Uchiha led a team to the Senju base and issued a declaration of war in person, and the time would be soon. For a moment, everyone looked at each other, and finally it was Bai Sui who spoke. I think I can probably guess why. It is very likely that Uchiha originally wanted to go to discuss the relevant matters of founding a country, but after arriving, they found out that Hashirama Senju and his men had decided to accept the jurisdiction of the daimyo, and you all know what the final result of this matter will be. So they thought that the Thousand Hands Alliance had stood on the opposite side of them, so they directly issued a letter of challenge to each other, because there was no need for the two sides to talk anymore. The only thing I don't know now is whether Madara has the confidence to defeat Hashirama. In fact, Bai Sui said that he didn't know whether Madara had found and recovered the Nine Tails. After all, Madara with the Nine Tails is basically equivalent to having infinite blue, and the gap between the two in chakra can basically be eliminated. As for whether Hashirama Senju can already use fairy methods, Bai Sui didn't know about this, and could only rely on Madara's luck. After all, Hashirama's true thousands of hands are too illegal at the current stage. It is too difficult and the possibility is too low for Madara without the Samsara Eye to defeat Hashirama in the Sage mode. Anyway, Bai Sui has never fought with the two, and doesn't know the gap between them. Although he has observed a fight between the two before, they only tried it out briefly that time, and didn't really fight. Who knows if there is any hidden strength? Another thing is that the two are now in a period of rapid growth in strength, and their strength is changing every day. So much time has passed from before to now, who can know to what extent the strength of the two has increased? Sorry everyone, I wanted to thank everyone for their monthly tickets, recommendation tickets and rewards, but the author doesn't know how to use this writer software, and can't copy and paste directly. Currently, if you want to see this information, you can only view it through your mobile phone, and you can't copy it, you can only type it manually, and then the author found that he was in a state of confusion, and there were many characters he didn't recognize, and he couldn't type it out in order not to favor one over the other. The author can only thank everyone for their support again. Thank you everyone. Chapter 70 Conspiracy. Suddenly, another tribe member came to report that someone had come to visit, and he refused to reveal his name, only saying that he was from the Thousand Hands Alliance, and that everyone would know who he was once they saw him. Everyone immediately looked at Kashiwasu, and everyone present knew that he could see things remotely, and Kashiwasu did not disappoint everyone. Interesting, it turned out to be the head of the Nara clan, Narashikasho. It seems that the other party really has something important to discuss, otherwise he would not come wearing a mask. Soon, the tribe member brought the other party in, and Uzumaki Ashina also personally greeted him. When Narashikasho came to the meeting room and saw so many people there, he was stunned at first, then immediately understood something and nodded to everyone. Sure enough, the other party got to the point as soon as he opened his mouth. You should be discussing the establishment of the Senju village and the establishment of the Uchiha country. I am here for this reason. Narashikamaru looked at the expressions of the crowd. Although no one spoke at this time, he already knew that he was right. I noticed before that the Ashina clan leader looked disappointed when he heard our leader talking about the village construction. Later, when everyone was discussing the distribution of interests, he disappeared. At that time, I guessed that the Ashina clan leader should have discovered a trap buried in it, but he left safely because of the relationship between the two clans and the strength of our leader. Speaking of it, outsiders have always said how smart our Nara clan is, but in fact, our three families of Ino, Deer and Joe discussed it together for a long time before we figured out the problem. But at that time, the Ashina clan leader had only listened to less than half of it and had already discovered a secret, which really makes us feel ashamed. Although our three families discovered one of them, there is no solution. After all, no matter what, the strong have the right to make rules in the ninja world, and now Senju Hashirama is the leader of the strongest force in the ninja world. His words and strength make us have to let it go. But just before, the patriarch of the Uchiha clan actually issued a letter of challenge to the leader in front of many patriarchs. In fact, since they entered the station, I have been observing them. At that time, I found that the Uchiha clan leader's face immediately became ugly when he heard about the village construction. Obviously, he also found the problem, which made him determined to compete with our leader. I also noticed that the other people in the group were obviously a little confused at that moment. Obviously, this was not the same as the purpose of their trip, which meant that the Uchiha clan leader changed his mind temporarily. And most importantly, I found that the reason why the Uchiha clan leader was determined to issue a letter of challenge in person was because he met the leader. The leader's expression at that time, the leader actually showed embarrassment and helplessness, which shows what? This shows that Hashirama actually knows the problem behind this. Uzumaki Ashina said what the other party had not said, and felt a little bitter in his mouth. Alice Narashikasho's tone also revealed a sense of emotion. Yes, this is the key to everything. Although I can't judge when our leader discovered the problem. He did discover the problem, but he has not expressed any opinions on this matter since Uchiha Madara left. It is precisely because of this that we, the Aino, Deer, and Jo families, felt that we couldn't just let it go after discussion. We still have to try our best to do something. Then we thought of the nobles and wanted to negotiate with them to learn from them and see if there is any solution. Although he said so, everyone present could hear that there was actually another layer of meaning in Narashikasho's words that was not clearly stated. After pondering for a while, Bai Sui and the others exchanged glances, and finally Uzumaki Ashina spoke on behalf of the Uzumaki clan. To be honest, my clan has been discussing this matter for a while, but you also understand that in the end everything still has to be attributed to strength, and that's why we haven't been able to come up with a result and are worrying about it. To be honest, the arrival of clan leader Lu Zhang today was really beyond our expectations. After all, when I saw everyone on the scene eagerly discussing the distribution of interests, I thought you would all stand on the side of the daimyo. I didn't expect that the Aino, Shika and Jo clans were also willing to stand up at this moment and contribute to the future of the ninja. This has given me some inspiration. Could it be that it is not just our families who have seen it, but other families have also seen it, but they are suffering from the general trend and have no choice but to numb themselves and pretend not to know? In fact, these people can unite. Narashikashin agreed very much. Yes, we thought so too, but there are so many good and bad people in this alliance, it is really hard to distinguish. We thought about it for a long time before we dared to come to the Uzumaki clan to verify. As for the other families, who dares to be sure of what they are thinking? Uzumaki Ashina also felt the same way. Yes, if it weren't for the fact that the head of the Shikashin clan came here in person today, we wouldn't dare to believe it, but it would be more and more difficult for us to really do something. I'm not afraid of you laughing at me when I say this. Although our relationship with the Senju is the closest in the entire alliance, it is precisely because of this that we have to avoid suspicion to a certain extent and stay away from other families in the alliance. We really don't know as much about the situation within the entire alliance as you do. Which families are more credible and can be won over? We really can't help with these. The atmosphere at the scene became more and more depressing, and everyone was at a loss for a moment. Seeing that the atmosphere was not right, a senior executive quickly changed the subject. By the way, we have been troubled by the Uchiha clan's declaration of war. We don't know if we can do anything about this matter. It's just that we have just discussed it for a while, and you, the head of the Lu Zhang clan, have come to visit. I wonder if the nobles have any opinions on this matter. Hearing that someone brought the topic to him, Nara Lu Zhang said that he was powerless after sighing. After all, the strength of the two people was too much stronger than that of others. All kinds of calculations against the two people can only start from the people or things around them. It is too difficult to target the two of them directly, and it is also a bit of a dead end. Although it is impossible to target the two people directly, Nara Lu Zhang also provided a lot of ideas. He can do something about the decisive battle between the two people. Try to test the ideas of the clans in the alliance as much as possible, make a few advances first, and then choose further actions based on the results of the battle between the two. Chapter 71 Negotiation. Uzumaki Ashina and the others sent away Narashikasho who came to visit, and everyone continued to discuss the unfinished topic. It's true that some people's brains are quick, and they really thought of a way to destroy the relationship between the daimyo and the senju and make the entire village construction plan go down the drain. That is to pin the mastermind behind the kidnapping of Uzumaki Ashina and others on the head of the Fire Country daimyo. Although there is no evidence, it is very reasonable if analyzed from the motivation. Then, as long as they can forge evidence to hide it from others, they can expose the fact that the daimyo wants to persecute the Senju alliance, and there will definitely be an explanation at that time. In the end, it was Uzumaki Ashina who rejected the proposal. That's right. In fact, since we were the only ones present when they attacked, and the evidence is easy to forge, you can't forget one thing, that is, the evidence is not important. What is really important is the attitude of Senju Hashirama. The patriarch of the Nara clan also said before that it is basically certain that Senju Hashirama knew about the daimyo's conspiracy. He was able to directly admit to such a big thing. Do you think he will definitely turn against the daimyo even if there is evidence? If he insists that someone deliberately wanted to sow discord between the alliance and the daimyo, can we still turn against him and say that it must have been the daimyo's doing? In the end, we still have to say that there is a possibility. Now nothing else matters. What matters is the attitude of my son-in-law. In the end, everyone decided to do their best. Uzumaki Ashina would go to Senju Hashirama to talk it over, and the only person present who was familiar with Uchiha Madara, the other party in the decisive battle, was Kashiwahou, so it was finally decided that Kashiwahou would represent Uzumaki to negotiate. Bai Sui did not refuse, and flew to the Uchiha clan at night, using his spiritual sense to inform the other party of his arrival. Feeling the familiar sense of being watched and mental fluctuations on him again, Madara immediately realized that it was Bai Sui who came, but this time he did not come to the outside of the clan, but directly invited Bai Sui to visit the clan. Thinking of the decision made by the Uzumaki high-level officials before leaving, Bai Sui followed Madara's intention and walked into the clan. After receiving the order from the clan leader, no clan member stopped Bai Sui, and finally it was Izuna who personally welcomed Bai Sui in. Unlike the Uzumaki clan, which had many high-level officials during the meeting, the entire Uchiha clan only had two brothers, Uchiha Madara, in the meeting hall. It seems that the two have truly unified the entire clan with their own abilities and prestige, turning it into a one-man show. Of course, this is not to say that there is a gap between the two clans. After all, the two methods have their own advantages and disadvantages. The advantage of a one-man show is that it is efficient and cohesive. If the leader is well chosen, it can develop and grow in a very short time. Similarly, if the leader is not well chosen, it will quickly drag the clan to destruction. Uchiha Madara first expressed his gratitude for the arrival of Bai Sui, thanking Bai Sui for pointing out a direction for his spiritual practice, and said that he had combined the meditation and visualization that Bai Sui said during this period, and then borrowed from the various secret techniques they had collected during this period, and finally summarized a set of cultivation methods that were suitable for Uchiha. Madara also knew that Bai Sui's spiritual practice was far superior to his, so he spoke it out openly. Bai Sui closed his eyes and simply simulated it in the inner scene. Very good, although I can't figure out some details because of the different cultivation system, I can be sure that there is no deviation in the general direction. After a few more generations of repairs, you can collect more feedback from the cultivation of the clan members and make adjustments, and finally you will be able to make him truly mature. Yes, Bai Sui found that it was almost the same as what he thought. They chose visualization. Although it was mixed with some applications of pupil power and the shadows of various chakra secret techniques, the main body was still visualization. By controlling the pupil power, a Susanoo was constructed in the mind. Madara and Izuna discovered that the Susanoo constructed by their pupil power was different from the one that condensed using the main Gekyo. It was like what Izuna imagined in her mind was a half-body statue, but it was no longer just a simple skeleton. On the basis of the skeleton, it was covered with the meridians and flesh, wrapped in a coat like chakra, and had its own exclusive weapon. Unlike Madara's sword, Izuna's was a spear. Madara said that his Susanoo already had the Karaso Tengu armor, and its size became larger than before, which was also the reason why he defeated Hashirama Senju later. After reminiscing about the past with the two, Kashiwahou also talked about the purpose of his visit and asked Madara if he wanted to establish a country. Madara was also very direct, saying that this was not only his own wish, but also the idea of the entire Uchiha now, but they found some problems, that is, there were too few ninjas, and if they really wanted to establish a country, they could only establish a very small country, which was not what they wanted. That's why they went to the Senju headquarters before. They wanted the two clans to work together to build a big country. They were even prepared to make the Senju the main force and them the auxiliary force. After all, even without the Uchiha joining, the Senju alliance could still build a not small ninja country. I think you can see the intentions of those so-called nobles, and the Senju clan actually jumped into it knowing the problem, which is simply unreasonable. So our entire Uchiha clan is ready to fight him. We can't let him build a village anyway. That would simply trample the dignity of all ninjas under the feet of the daimyo, which I can never tolerate. When Madara talked about this, his face was still a little cold. Obviously, he didn't understand why his childhood friend was so weak now, and he was willing to lie at the feet of the daimyo as a dog. Bai Sui nodded, yes, although I can understand his approach, I do not agree with it. But fortunately, not everyone has the same idea as Senju Hashirama. Even within the entire alliance, there are many families that have seen the problem and want to contribute their own strength to the future of ninja. The Uzumaki clan is one of them, so I was sent here today to reach an agreement with you, Uchiha. Oh? I didn't expect that in addition to the Haguramo clan, there would be a clan willing to sign a friendly agreement with our Uchiha. This is really rare. Even Uchiha Madara was a little surprised, because their clan's reputation was indeed not very good. On the one hand, their xenophobia and arrogance caused them to look down on half of the ninja clans, and on the other hand, it was because of this Haguramo clan. Chapter 72, Feathered Clan. Originally, the Feather Clothes clan was also a family with a very long heritage. The friendly agreement signed between the two clans has lasted for hundreds of years. However, unlike the Uchiha clan, which was arrogant and generally disdained to bully those weaker than themselves, the Feather Clothes clan was different. They often relied on their own strength to make enemies everywhere. Every time they found that they were not as good as others, they would ask the Uchiha for help. As time went by, the reputation of the Uchiha became more and more bad, until their clan finally got into trouble with the Senju clan. As usual, the Feather Clothes clan relied on their own strength to wipe out a distant relative of the Senju clan. The Senju of the forest, who learned the news, became mortal enemies with him. It was for this reason that the Senju and Uchiha became hostile to each other. In fact, within the Uchiha clan, they were not surprised that they and the Senju were against each other, because in the past 1,000 years, the two clans would always be hostile for various reasons, and they would not stop because no one could do anything to the other. Such things would happen at least once every 100 years. However, they also felt more and more disgusted with the Uchiha clan who always caused trouble for them. It was only because they were unwilling to violate the contract signed by both parties that they sent troops to help again and again. What people didn't expect was that the Senju was serious this time. After finding out the details of the Uchiha clan in several battles, they seized a rare opportunity and captured the Uchiha garrison in one fell swoop, completing the shocking extermination of the clan. It was also because of the Senju's action that some small clans that were originally bullied by the Uchiha clan moved closer to the Senju, laying the foundation for the Senju alliance in the future. And now there are big clans that want to sign a friendly contract with Uchiha. What's more amazing is that the other party is actually a distant relative and ally of the Senju clan. This really made the Uchiha brothers a little dazed for a while, and even suspected that they had heard it wrong. But looking at Bai Sui in front of them, they knew that this was not a joke, and their faces became serious. Then I wonder what kind of friendly agreement the two clans want to sign. Bai Sui shook his head, not two clans, but two countries. Although the Senju clan is willing to be a small clan to the daimyo, the Uzumaki clan is unwilling. The Uzumaki wants to establish a country belonging to ninjas, and hopes to establish diplomatic relations with a country established by Uchiha, jointly resist threats from all parties in the future, and establish an offensive and defensive alliance agreement. Of course, all of the above will only take effect after both parties establish a country, otherwise it will be empty talk. I wonder if you have this intention? I am just here to express an attitude of the Uzumaki today. In any case, the Uzumaki will try its best to gather some ninjas to jointly fight against the suppression of ninjas by the daimyo and the aristocratic group. Uchiha is just a stop on the Uzumaki trip. If time is urgent, it will even contact the ninjas in other countries and choose a time. Everyone will try to establish a country together. In this way, the pressure can be dispersed to a certain extent, and finally break through the joint blockade of the old forces. Hearing this, Madara's eyes lit up. After that, should we select powerful countries from the ninja kingdom, and after gaining a firm foothold, we should gradually expand our influence, and finally unify the entire ninja world and bring true peace to the ninja world? It's not that simple. Although there are prerequisites for promotion in the ninja world, such as unified writing and unified weights and measures, it is not easy to achieve this without the accumulation and efforts of several generations. But this is a start after all. It is always better to do something than to do nothing, don't you think? Kashiwa-san knew that this was definitely not a simple matter. Okay, we, the Uchiha clan, agree in principle, but when exactly do we have to wait to establish the country? Madara asked. Bai Sui said, it will be decided after the final battle between you and Hashirama. At that time, the attention of the whole ninja world will be attracted by the battle between the two of you. The announcement of the founding of the country at that time is basically equivalent to passing it to the whole ninja world, and the effect will be incomparably good. Time soon came to the first day of next month, which was the time for the duel between Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. This time, the battle between the two was not only to distinguish the superiority between the two, but also related to the future development of the ninja world. The relationship between the two was different from before, so there was no communication like the last time, but they were all focusing their attention on each other's every move, looking for possible weaknesses. Not only the two of them, but also the forces behind the two sides showed great hostility. After all, although some things were not made clear, during the period of waiting for the duel, various small actions of various ninja clans continued, and because of the deliberate indulgence of Senju Hashirama, even if Senju Tobirama had a lot of opinions about it, it was of no avail. So careful people can find that in the camp of the Uchiha clan, everyone is very united, standing in one place closely, and jointly hostile to all the people of the Senju alliance. However, the Senju alliance is actually divided into 3 factions, and each of them stands far away from each other. Among the 3 factions, the largest number of people is led by Senju Tobirama. In addition to the people of the Senju clan, there are more clan leaders and elite senior officials of some small ninja clans around him. The second largest is led by the Hyuga clan, which gathers a lot of medium-sized ninja clans and some large ninja clans, standing in the middle of the other 2 factions, and talking happily with people on both sides. As for the last faction, it is represented by Uzumaki Ashina, who has the least number of people standing around, but if you look closely, the weight inside is not light. Basically all of them are people from big clans, and there are few small and medium-sized families. Although the 3 factions did not say that they were incompatible, even except for Senju Tobirama who always had a paralyzed face, the rest of the people greeted with smiles, as if nothing had happened in the entire alliance, and everyone was a family with one heart. The battle between Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama officially began under the extremely complicated gazes of the crowd. Unlike the last time when it was mainly a test, this time the two of them were serious from the start. Both of them directly summoned their own Gundams and entered the cockpits of their respective vehicles. The shocking effect presented to the eyes of the crowd was far better than the last time, because the two of them became stronger again, and became stronger at a speed far beyond the cognitive level of the crowd. The increase in their strength was no longer a straight line increase, but a leap forward growth, which shocked the crowd. Looking at the huge wooden R-hut in front of them, which was almost half the height of the last time, the people gathered around Uzumaki Ashina couldn't help but feel uneasy, wondering whether their plans could be carried out smoothly, and whether they were actively seeking death. Chapter 73 Aftermath. It is not just Madara who has greatly improved his strength in a short period of time because of the relevant training he has summarized. Judging from the size and appearance of Hashirama's wooden R-hut, it should be very perfect, because there is a huge wooden dragon coiled on the huge wooden man. Madara's strength has increased with the intervention of Kishiwasu, so how did Hashirama become so much stronger in a short period of time? First of all, excluding the fact that Hashirama deliberately concealed his weakness during the last battle, the most likely possibility is that Hashirama has already comprehended the Sage Mode, and the next possibility is that there is a high possibility of the intervention of Black Zetsu. The reason why Black Zetsu was thought of is actually because of a doubt that Kishiwasu has always had. Madara can open the main Gekyo, which shows that he has extremely high qualifications. Black Zetsu, who is dedicated to saving his mother, should come to observe. Once Black Zetsu returns to observe for a while, he should be able to find that Kishiwasu has a close relationship with him. However, whether it was the last time he went to the Uchiha clan for a negotiation or when he was by his side, Bai Sui had never found the figures of Black Zetsu and White Zetsu, which led to Bai Sui not knowing whether the other party's concealment ability was too strong, so that his spiritual sense could not find the other party, or whether the other party had no intention of close contact for the time being. If it was because of the many influences brought by Bai Sui that caused Black Zetsu to attack Senju Hashirama, Bai Sui would not be unable to accept it. The problem now is to determine what exactly happened. The two giants collided with each other immediately after they appeared. Madara's Susanoo swung the huge longsword and gave Hashirama 2 cross cuts on the head, but was blocked by the wooden dragon coiled on the wooden R-hut. Susanoo's heavy blow was taken, and the entire wooden dragon's huge head was directly smashed to pieces. Not only that, the longsword continued to shatter a section of the dragon's body that was dozens of meters long. However, Compared to the wooden dragon that was over 100 meters long, it still had about 2/3 of its body left, and the broken parts were also healing and growing rapidly under the abundant chakra of Hashirama. Basically, when Susanoo retracted his sword, it was basically fully recovered. Seeing that this physical attack had little effect on the wooden dragon, Madara controlled Susanoo's seal, Zijou Shuhun Shenhaiyin, fire style, great fire extinction, and a huge amount of chakra gathered in Madara's throat. He spit out a fireball like a meteorite falling towards the wooden dragon opposite, which was looking up and waving its teeth in the air. When the entire fireball hit the wooden dragon, it spread and formed a vast sea of fire. The wooden dragon, which was shattered by the fireball, then enjoyed the almost endless burning of the flames. Although Hashirama's wood style was not afraid of flames, such a huge sea of fire directly confined it. The wooden dragon's recovery ability was amazing. The dragon head that had just been shattered again recovered visibly, but it was obvious that the wooden dragon's body was also burned by the sea of fire during this period of time. Judging from the results presented on the scene, the sea of fire cannot burn the wood dragon in a short time, but the wood dragon also cannot recover in the sea of fire and then hinder Madara. It can be said that after Madara spent a huge amount of chakra, he temporarily abolished Hashirama's wood dragon technique, and Hashirama naturally did not wait to be beaten during this period. While the wood dragon was suffering damage for him, he was also frantically mobilizing chakra and channeling it into the earth through the wood arhat under his feet. Wood release, flower tree realm is coming. With a low cry from Hashirama, the ground within a radius of dozens of miles was shaking wildly, and then countless extremely terrifying thick roots, stems, and vines emerged from the ground. These vines were like giant pythons, twisting their bodies wantonly on the ground, crushing and destroying everything around them, splitting the mountains, penetrating the rock layers, and covering all the visible ground in an instant, and countless flowers bloomed on the gradually growing trees, and a large amount of poisonous pollen was produced after the flowers bloomed. Madara had experienced the effect of this pollen before, and suffered a loss at that time. Naturally, Madara would not fall twice on the same problem, so he immediately increased his output of chakra to maintain Susanoo, making it tighter and keeping the poisonous pollen out. And those people on the periphery suffered again. They had estimated the combat power of the two before, and based on the range of the aftermath of the last fight, they drew what they thought was a safety line. The previous few fights did not affect them, and they could still see the fight between the two. But after Hashirama used the real flower tree world, everything changed. Not only under their feet, but also in the farther places, countless huge tree branches broke out of the ground, and because of their growth, they squeezed the earth violently, forming various strange hills. Blocking the view of the crowd watching the battle is a small matter. The key is that they must ensure their own safety first. Before, there was an unlucky guy from a small clan who accidentally fell to the ground where he was standing, and was crushed by the crazy growing branches below and turned into nutrients. Not only that, the fire that Madara had spewed out before was extinguished, and the sea of fire it caused also spread over. Originally, everyone had enough time to evacuate calmly, but now the combination of wood style and fire style directly blocked most of the escape space. Seeing this situation, all the families tried their best, either alone or in combination, to try their best to stay away from the two people fighting. Bai Sui directly operated the spiritual field and began to gather a large amount of chakra scattered in the air, forming a chakra ball with a diameter of 20 meters around himself. The edge of the entire chakra ball flickered and was full of distortion. The reason for this performance is that Bai Sui covered the edge of the entire field with fine wind blades. The ninjutsu used is actually very simple, which is the wind-style vacuum blade, one of the wind-style ninjutsu that wind attribute chakra ninjas first learn. The vacuum blade is essentially to inject wind attribute chakra into weapons such as kunai to form a sharp sword blade. Bai Sui relied on his powerful spiritual consciousness to form countless dense vacuum blades on the surface of the entire spherical field. The vacuum blade itself was extremely sharp, and under the control of the divine consciousness, it moved quickly on the surface of the spherical field, forming an extremely terrifying cutting ability. As long as the energy flame entered the field, it would be directly dispersed by the divine consciousness and restored to chakra after a certain loss. As for the physical wood escape, it would be cut into flying dust by the endless vacuum blades and then driven out of the field by the divine consciousness. After warning the people around him not to move, especially not to touch the vacuum blades at the edge of the field, Bai Sui directly isolated everyone around him from danger, and everyone had time to look at everything around them. Chapter 74, Ranking Technique. First of all, there are the families that stood in the Uzumaki camp before and decided to jointly announce the establishment of a country after the war. They are mainly the three families of Ino, Shika and Jo, the Inuzuka family, the Kurama family, the Gekau family and several small families. When discussing the establishment of a country before, it was actually the dear family of Ino, Shika and Jo, that is, the Nara family, who came forward to win over people. Although everyone recognized that this group was led by the Uzumaki family, they actually looked more at the powerful sealing technique of the entire Uzumaki family and the tangled relationship with the Senju family. They thought that if Hashirama Senju turned against them in the end, they could still give them a way out for the sake of the Uzumaki family. Therefore, no one knows which strong people are in the Uzumaki family of Kashiwasu. In addition, Kashiwasu is only the fourth elder of the Uzumaki family. Although everyone was curious about why Kashiwasu could become an elder without the surname Uzumaki, no one thought that Kashiwasu could have such strength. It's not that the families present couldn't escape from the aftermath of the fight between Madara and Hashirama. The key is that they couldn't do it as easily as Kashiwasu. Not only was he controlling this unknown wind escape barrier, he was also able to communicate with everyone as usual. It was obvious that he was not using his full strength. This immediately demonstrated Kashiwasu's strength, and it also made everyone's balance slightly tilted. Suddenly, a black light appeared in everyone's vision. Even the sea of fire in front of them couldn't cover up the deep color. It was strange to say that although it was black, it actually gave everyone a feeling that it was glowing. Looking closely, it was found that it was the direction of the Uchiha clan. It was Uchiha Izuna who opened his half-body Susanoo. It seemed that he only used the first stage of Susanoo. The dark skeleton protected his clansmen in it. Whether it was the sea of fire or the wood escape, as long as they got close, they would be destroyed by the ink-colored Susanoo. In the direction of the Senju clan, Tobirama Senju released a water escape technique, water array wall. Unlike other users who could only use hand seals to pour water attribute chakra into the ground to create a vertical water wall from bottom to top, the water array wall cast by Tobirama Senju would rotate around the caster in a circular manner, forming a defense without blind spots. This water wall effectively blocked all the fire that came from the sea. As for the trees that grew everywhere due to the wood escape technique, they were all smashed by the extraordinary strength of the Senju clan and the joint efforts of the ninja clans such as Sarutobi and Shimura. Overall, it was safe. The only ones who seemed a little panicked were the families that united around the Hyuga clan. None of them could stand up to resist most of the attacks for them. All the families could only fight on their own and try to protect themselves. The Hyuga clan naturally had no problems. Those present were all elites of the clan. Under the protection of the branch clans, the main clan was unscathed. The ninja swordsmanship of the Hatake clan was also powerful enough to cut through the flames and trees in front of them. Although they seemed to be a little weak, they were able to get through it safely. Other clans suffered more or less casualties, among which the Aburame was relatively unjust. Their clan was extraordinary in strength, but they were better at dealing with living beings, rather than dealing with ninjutsu such as flames and wood escape. They were obviously powerless when they parried, causing considerable losses. Seeing that the aftermath of this wave of fighting had spread so far, everyone took advantage of this relatively calm moment to evacuate, the farther the better. In fact, Madara and Hashirama discovered a problem after the fight. The aftermath of the fight between the two was too wide and had affected the positions of their forces, so they quickly stopped moving, but observed the situation of the people in the distance. When they confirmed that everyone had moved away and their position should not be affected, they fought again. Otherwise, if the two hadn't stopped, the aftermath of the subsequent battles would have come one after another. Except for Kashiwaho, who could definitely save the people around him, the other families would inevitably suffer more casualties. To be honest, Madara was also a little surprised when he saw Hashirama's operation of directly changing the terrain in a large area. After all, his own strength growth was not only his own credit, but also with the help of Kashiwaho. He didn't expect Hashirama's progress to be so great, and even made him a little confused. Fortunately, Madara had another insurance. He did not hesitate to use the summoning technique and summoned his summoning beast Nine-Tail. With a loud bang, after a huge puff of smoke and dust, a giant, not small Nine-Tail appeared. There was no way. Taking humans as a reference, The nine-tail that appeared at this time was definitely huge, but it was much smaller than the two giants present. It was only because it had 9 fluffy tails that it was much taller. The 9 tails appeared, with a very obvious kaleidoscope pattern in its eyes. It was obvious that the 9 tails was now in a state of being forcibly controlled by Madara. The first thing it did after arriving was to open its bloody mouth and prepare to release the tailed beast ball. The chakra of the tailed beast is composed of the yang attribute blue chakra and the yin attribute purple-black chakra. Let its chakra form change to the extreme, and mix and compress it into a super dense ball in the mouth with a ratio of yin and yang to 8, and then release it all in one breath. This is the greatest secret of the tailed beast ball. Feeling the rapid impact of the tailed beast ball, Hashirama also reacted immediately, clasping his hands together. Wood release, ranking technique. Wood release, ranking technique is a special targeted sealing technique that creates a wooden shield shaped like a fanged ghost face, which can eat the disaster of the tailed beast. This is to use the nature of wood release, which can weaken the attack of the tailed beast, while hiding its body in a wooden mask that looks like a ghost, completely avoiding the fierce attack of the tailed beast. Just after the giant wooden mask appeared, the tailed beast ball smashed directly on it, and the energy from its explosion instantly illuminated the area. The powerful energy impact and huge wind pressure extinguished the sea of fire in an instant, annihilated the entire wood forest, and directly created a scorched earth with a radius of dozens of miles. Obviously, Madara had not expected such a collision of two ninjutsu. Although due to the direction problem, only a part of the explosion impact was left, but it also made the entire Susanoo missing and broken. Although it was quickly restored to its original state with the help of Madara's chakra and pupil power, the consumption was not small, and at the moment of impact. In order to ensure that Susanoo would not collapse directly, Madara's eyes stimulated a lot of pupil power in an instant, and 2 lines of horrible blood and tears flowed down Madara's cheeks. As for the 9 tails, it hid behind Susanoo at the first time, so it did not suffer any impact. Chapter 75 Yasuko Magatama. On this scorched earth, all that can be seen is Susanoo and the 9 tails hiding behind him, but not Hashirama and his tall wooden arhat. The 9 tails tailed beast ball blasted a deep pit where Hashirama was originally located. The charred area was nothing unusual, but Madara did not think that his attack could kill Hashirama directly. After all, he thought that such an attack would definitely not kill him. Judging from his own experience, Hashirama would definitely be fine. It is more likely that he is hiding somewhere, waiting for the opportunity to surprise him. Wood release, Minami Bunami Jutsu. 4 huge wooden hands broke out from the ground around Susanoo's location, each of which was as big as Susanoo, and grabbed Susanoo from 4 directions. Madara, who had been alert all the time, noticed the abnormality at the first time. It should not be said that he noticed the abnormality in advance, because this technique of using the bag sends chakra to the ground, and produces several wooden hands to control at will. Although Madara cannot see the trees hidden under the ground, he can see the large amount of chakra gathered there. So Madara was ready as soon as these wooden hands broke out of the ground one after another. Susanoo's forearms clenched a long sword and directly cut off the 2 huge palms that appeared in front of him. As for his back, he left it to the 9-tailed fox to defend. But it is not known whether the 9-tailed fox is not strong enough or the wood escape is too restrained by the tailed beast. After defeating one of the wooden hands, the 9-tailed fox was grabbed by another big hand and imprisoned there. The people looking at the battlefield here are still sighing at the strength of the 2. Such an attack can directly destroy a capital city, which is beyond the scope of human beings. Bai Sui saw another point. The appearance of this all-bag technique meant that Hashirama had indeed mastered the immortal technique, because this was not just an ordinary wood escape technique, but a wood escape technique. It was just unknown to what extent Hashirama had mastered the immortal technique and whether he could use the 1,000-handed Buddha. Although Madara had obtained the 9-tailed fox in advance, it seemed that he could not use the Susanoo for the time being, and Madara's Susanoo was not in its final stage. Without a pair of wings, he lacked the ability to fly. While the huge wooden hand was grabbing the 9-tailed fox, a place not far away opened up to both sides, revealing the huge wooden arhat still lurking underneath. It turned out that Hashirama was hiding behind the huge wooden shield generated by his ranking technique, and then a large amount of flying dust rolled up by the explosion fell back and buried it, so Madara did not find it at the first time. The power of the tailed beast ball was extremely terrifying. The aftermath alone burned a land of dozens of miles. It is conceivable that Hashirama had to bear the impact of this blow. Although this ranking technique had a certain restraint on the ninja beasts, so it was not penetrated, the huge impact force generated by the collision between the two also shocked Hashirama, who was hiding behind, and made him vomit blood. However, Hashirama Senju had amazing recovery ability, especially after he learned to use the Sage mode. His own healing ability was simply amazing, so he recovered almost in just a few breaths. After that, he secretly looked for opportunities in the underground. At this moment, he found that the Ninetales was trapped, and Hashirama decided to take action in time. After all, the power of the Ninetales tailed beast ball was amazing. If he took a few more shots, Hashirama felt that he should be in some trouble. Seeing his summoning beast trapped, Madara naturally would not let it go, but the giant hand grabbed the Ninetales and kept dragging it towards Hashirama. At this time, there was still some distance between the two. This distance is naturally nothing at ordinary times, but at this moment it will determine the balance of the next battle. Once the Ninetales is approached by Hashirama, whether it is suppressed by the forward movement or breaking the illusion, it can temporarily make Madara lose a lot of combat power. Madara controlled Susanoo and raised the long swords in his forearms above his head. Then a large amount of chakra and pupil power were stimulated, and the long swords turned into 12 Magatama, 3 in a group, a total of 4 groups. These 4 groups of Magatama spun rapidly in the hands of Susanoo and flew towards Hashirama at an extremely exaggerated speed. The airflow generated by the flying Magatama alone plowed 4 gullies more than 10 meters deep on the ground. Hashirama did not dare to underestimate this obviously powerful attack. After all, the previous tailed beast ball was the best example. Hashirama immediately poured a large amount of chakra into the wooden arhat under his feet. The feet of the wooden arhat were deeply rooted in the ground, and countless branches grew out and spread forward. These branches spread forward and upward quickly under the ground. The branches that spread upward quickly grew into wooden shields after breaking through the ground. So, in front of the wooden arhat, a group of huge wooden shields were set up every 10 meters, starting from the front of the wooden arhat's feet, and building a series of defensive barriers forward to prepare for the next attack. However, although the flying speed of the Magatama was extremely fast, Madara could actually control it to a certain extent. He separated one group from the 4 groups of Magatama, deviated from the direction of heading straight for Hashirama and turned to the Ninetales. Boom! With a series of loud noises, the 3 groups of Magatama, after smashing dozens of layers of wooden shields in a row, finally exhausted their chakra and dissipated into nothingness. As for the Ninetales, it also successfully escaped with the help of the Magatama and was running wildly towards Madara's position. After the Magatama disappeared, Madara once again consumed his chakra and pupil power, and was able to gather a new longsword in the hand of Susanoo. The two sides once again entered the confrontation stage, as if everything before was just a warm-up. The two did not even have any damage to their clothes. But Madara knew that he had lost, because he had noticed that his eyes had reached their limit, and his vision had begun to blur. If he stopped now and went back to his home to meditate, he would be able to recover after a period of rest, but if he continued to use a lot of pupil power to fight Hashirama, his eyes would be irreversibly damaged. Perhaps it was the Brotherhood, or some other reason that prompted them to fight with Hashirama, during the confrontation between the two, after escorting the tribe to a safe place. Uchiha Izuna and Senju Tobirama both ran towards the battlefield. It seemed that they wanted to help. Afterwards, the two may have felt that it was a bit reckless to rush forward like this, and it might even affect their brother's performance, especially Senju Tobirama. He felt that his means were a bit reluctant to fight the giant that was hundreds of meters tall, so he turned around and went towards Uchiha Izuna. Seeing Senju Tobirama coming straight towards her, Izuna immediately understood his idea. He wanted to take him down so as to influence his brother who was fighting. The problem was that Izuna was thinking the same thing now. As long as she took down Senju Tobirama, she would definitely be able to influence Senju Hashirama. Her brother had already used too much of his eye power. I've been having a bit of a writer's block these past 2 days. It's been quite uncomfortable writing this, End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.